fashion.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been golden when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the blockchain.
Now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like LeBron James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. The field's not falling for the FOMO. Listening to coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum NFTs. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Freaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Can't even get through a cold open with a perfect show. Mike was muted. My bad. YouTube. We are live on YouTube, believe it or not, despite having no audio over there for a second. We are now live officially on YouTube, as well as X audio, X video, and we'll be live on Abstract in a second. I will get that fired up. Got a little delayed once again, but we'll maybe one of these days. It's not going to be show 1200 and 1225. Maybe 1226 will be the perfect show, but don't tune in for that. Join us for some fun, a little bit of education, maybe never any financial advice, but hopefully you can pick up something or two here, maybe a little bit of alpha. Let me get this, whatever they did over at Abstract, my XP stays exactly the same, and I'm not even mad about it. Although I got the notification on twice this week. Did we get double XP? Was it a double XP week over there? Because I just got the notification this morning, and I know I got it earlier this week. So, are we? What's happening on? Did I get double? I'll go back and check here in a second. But let me get the Abstract stream live first, and then I might go check that. Actually, or maybe not check it because I don't want to have them take it away if I actually did get double XP. We're now live on Abstract, as well as YouTube, as well as X video and X audio. Good to be back on video today, and appreciate everyone who tuned in. Banger show yesterday. I did pin that up top. If anyone missed the show with Simple Farmer, impromptu interview, was not planned. Didn't even DM before the show. He just saw us talking about their write-up, their feature in Bloomberg, and I don't know, joined us for like an hour and a half yesterday as we were audio only. So that's pinned up top. If anyone wants to go back and catch the recording later. And I will also pin up top those links to YouTube and Abstract here just a second. While you're over there, smash that like, that repost, that bookmark. Greatly, all the above would be greatly appreciated. Do the things, hit all the buttons. You know what to do. I mean, we appreciate it every day, but it's a double whammy. It's extra appreciated anytime that we have guests, and we do have a couple guests joining us here today. So would love the extra love and support. Speaking of special guests, the one that's going to be coming in around 9 o'clock. This is a very special day for them. 4th birthday for Genuine Undead. Not only their 4th birthday, also the first ever full board takeover for the Coffee with Captain stream board. Greatly appreciate you all over there. Not just the team and the project, the brand, but just an incredible community, extremely supportive. If you've been here, you've heard me talk about the uber generous Hans over in the Abstract streets. Tips me I basically every single day. Big generous Pingu tip over there. Half my Pingu bag, I think, is by way of Hans. Also have a couple of fire undead that I will tweet out here. Probably we'll let the spaces link go, and then I'll send this out around a little after 9 after Mason and might have more. I know Mason's going to be joining us, but looking forward to that. I'll share that here after the top of the hour. But yeah, big love. Appreciate the takeover, and happy birthday to all those who celebrate. If you're new, if you're not familiar with Genuine Undead, hang out. We've got like I said, 8:30 guest Concordium joining, and then Genuine Undead at 9. And boy, oh boy, I know I've been saying it for a while. Things are heating up, not just on-chain activity, not just, I mean, this show, our live audience has been 2, 3, maybe some days 4x on average collectively across all channels, as it was just a little over a month ago. Like the last month has been really supercharged. And obviously someone like Simple Farmer joins us yesterday when he's becoming the main character of the cycle. That's gonna drive some numbers. But it's not just that. It's like every day we've been up significantly over where live listeners were a couple months ago. And oh, by the way, during a time where there's far more competition in this time zone or time block than there was a couple months ago when I was, what I'm referring to. So we're actually, viewers and listeners are up 2, 3, 4x simultaneously as Easy starts doing a show at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock rather. Thread Guy came back and started doing it, or moved his show up and started doing an 8 a.m. show. So significantly more, I guess you can call them competition. I don't really view them that way, but clearly content, live shows discussing this space. And so that being said, viewership, active participants way up over the last month. You can see it on chain. You can see it in spaces. You can see it on the timeline. And or maybe it has something to do with X. Maybe the algo changes a little while back, followed by Nikita getting his golden watch. Maybe the changes actually are benefiting niche spaces like crypto Twitter. I don't know. All I know is it's very noticeable, and the data supports it. And once again, shout out to Genuine Undead. That's all I got for Cold Open today. We'll definitely be coming back to I'm glad you're interested in Thread Guy. I like Thread Guy though. No, not taking any shots. But just because I shared Easy as a show, that doesn't mean you're allowed to leave us. I'm not going to take shots at Easy because Easy's actually the brainchild behind this sponsor board, and I'm a big fan of Easy and Pio and Clemente and Nick and that whole crew. Great respect for how that they've continued to show up day in and day out in this space, and without pivoting away, kind of reinvent themselves, attempt different types of content, different channels like Instagram, and while still keeping. A lot of people just left. A lot of people just went, "Oh, I'm going to just talk about AI or stocks or prediction markets." And while they have, obviously they'll cover that stuff as well, they continue to talk about crypto and Web3, and I respect and appreciate that. There was a big sale last night. I did see that Laser Eye 8 move for about 42 ETH, and love to see it. I also, while I do love to see it, I want to a little bit. Let me. I avoided the rage baity or clickbaity title the other day, so I'm not going to go there today. But I did just send out an open letter to the class of 21-22 utility NFT brands. I'm old enough to remember that the majority, not all, there was certainly just art collections that launched, but I'm old enough to remember the majority of the 2021, 2022 NFT PFP class were utility NFTs. And then for some reason, they were different brands went different ways, but they rebranded to culture NFTs or IP NFTs and whatever, to each their own. But that's, I think where I'm confused is there's a lot of community members that are like, they're cool with it. Like, oh yeah, we're not a utility NFT. It's like, when did that happen? Like, I didn't see a statement from any of these teams to say we're no longer providing utility or perks for our holders. And before it gets taken out of context, I am absolutely not expecting free magical internet money to be dropped out of the sky. It's not what I'm saying. I'm not expecting more fungible tokens drops, or someone mentioned something like, dropping a third or second collection on Robinhood chain. That's not it. Not what I'm talking about at all. So please don't take it out of context. But I think a lot of people are like, oh, they're pushing back. And I'm trying to think where to go here, because which post to share, which comments. I've went back and forth with a few people on the timeline, and I'm not mad. I'm not upset with you. I don't mean any disrespect by it. I am still long apes. I have a lot of utility NFTs, whether they're called that or not. That's at least what they used to be. And there's I don't know, maybe it's just people who have been sidelined on the Robinhood chain or explosion or other things, and maybe they're just feeling a certain way, and it's just their way of. In some cases, maybe they're just doing it simply for engagement farm. I don't know. It's hard to tell for sure, but I am surprised so many people are just cool with. They're almost taking it like, hey, this isn't. They're mad, or they're taking shots at things like stockbrokers or others that are excited about what's happening on chain. On-chain activity is heating up. It's quantifiable. It's not just me saying this. When I showed you charts yesterday, go look at the data. You can't deny it. And it's not just cool minting out a 44,000 collection for over $1 million. Not just that. There's a lot of things. Users are up. Activity is up. Volume is up. And Robinhood isn't just some bootstrap startup that launched a new chain. Like, there's a lot to be excited about there. And they haven't even turned on their marketing engine for, their 30 million users. If this upsets you, blame FFV, because what we saw yesterday was Good Vibes Club teased a collaboration with stockbrokers, and so did Normies. Both their floors pumped. Again, I'm not expecting a collaboration with stockbrokers to pump every collection's floor. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a pump exit. Not in the least bit. I don't even care about floor price. I don't care whose floor's higher. I don't care who flips the other. I know I'm probably in the minority there. I truly don't care. What I do care about is the space, these communities, ones that I'm long on, ones that I'm not only vested in from a financial standpoint, but like time and brand. And I care. Like, I truly care about more than just Yuga, more than just Ape, several of these brands. And I believe they can be better. I think some, and I'm not calling any brand or any people out individually, because it's kind of across the board from a lot of the legacy brands, that there was this shift during the bear of, hey, we tried some activations, we did some things, and it just upsets people. The market doesn't respond, the floor doesn't go up, in some cases it goes down. And so we're going to take the foot off the gas. We're going to stop really shipping activations. We're going to stop experimenting on chain. We're just going to focus on our big picture, our whether that's reaching the Web2 masses via social media or through national retail distribution or other side. I get that. Nothing here should be at the expense of the big vision, the true north, the big goals that they're shooting for. And I also understand, like, during the depths of a bear, like, it's hard to win. And what are you going to, what can you do? But when things are popping off, I think it's fair to ask, like, what are we doing this month, this year? Like, what's next? What sort of on-chain experimentation are we going to do? Especially when it's teams that previously were leaders in this regard. This is, again, blame FFE for this. He says, this is WTF I'm talking about. Founders, projects that can find ways for their communities to be involved with new plays or narratives is one of the biggest decision makers of why people hold NFTs. The long-term vision is great, and people do truly believe in those long-term visions. But in the meantime, they should be finding ways for their communities to be involved in the fun. It's a lot more fun to be involved in new, exciting stuff, to be experimenting, to be playing games, to be doing new things on chain than just sitting on our hands waiting for a brand to become the next Disney or other side to ship the resource game. Like, this isn't an or, it's an and. He goes, I'm sorry, go back to quoting FFE here. He goes on to say, otherwise, we'll continue to see a downtrend on legacy collections. Nobody likes to see everybody else having fun, making money from the sidelines. That's why we saw Funkari flip Pudgies, maybe even ape soon, adapt or die. And FFE had another post like, how is Funkari flipping Pudgies? And the answer is because they're providing utility. Like, things are heating up and they're working for their holders. Like, there's opportunity there. And someone's like, well, how can you compare the two? This has a few hundred versus 20,000. It's like, does market cap matter? It's a metric. But if someone's if they've got 8 ETH and they're looking to pick up an NFT, join a community, are they going to spend that 8 ETH on an ape, on 2 Pudgies, on 2 Funkari? Well, it depends on what their goals are. If it's someone that's looking to make money here, whether it's appreciation of the asset or opportunities that the asset might provide by way of access and utility, it's probably Funkari 10 times out of 10. Right now, especially if it's someone that it's part of their decision, can this be a profitable investment? Is this something that's going to appreciate over the next 12 months? Is this something that I might have other opportunities, not a token drop, not tokenized stocks, but might this NFT, might this community help me get access to the next big thing, to other allocation, other token drops, other NFT mints? And right now, like, again, quantifiable, Funkari's running laps around those other 2 mentioned. I'm not naming that. Those were just the 2 that FFE mentioned in the thread. FFE left because I was picking on him, a kid. And this is why I quote tweeted this morning, and this was my open letter to all utility NFT brands from 2020, 21, 22, several of which have later rebranded as IP or culture NFT brands. No one's decision to buy your NFT was because they wanted a digital collectible or a culture NFT. I don't even know what that means. They bought for utility, access, networking, experimental tech, and or financial opportunities. Even those who want to say, nope, I just bought a digital collectible. I saw Spinotron just picked up an ape this morning. Or I'm sorry, a stonkbroker, actually. My bad. He's a collector. Stockbroker's also someone of extremely high net worth, and he can collect things that are just going to sit in a wallet and not looking for any short-term opportunity from. He may not need a club or a access for networking purposes. But even those who are, oh, I want this collectible, at minimum, at a tiebreaker, if you've got two collectibles, both of which have a future, well, is there other stuff there? Is there utility? Is there access? Is there networking opportunities? Are they experimenting on chain? Might there be opportunities for new financial opportunities? And like, it doesn't matter if this actually, for those that want to say, oh, it's a few hundred versus tens of thousands. Well, the person who's looking at as an investment, the one with a few hundred is probably more attractive than one with thousands because there's only a few hundred. People are less likely to dump into bids. People are less likely. There's a greater opportunity to land some of those, allow list opportunities when it's a smaller subset. I'm not saying Funkari is going to 5x from here, but the bigger point, back to my letter, I don't expect any of these legacy brands to jump into tokenized stocks. That's not it. So many people are getting hung up on, oh, this is pumping because tokenized stocks. That's just one thing that's happening. It's a big thing, and we have a major date tomorrow with the SEC, and if they're going to come out with this innovation exemption language, could be, and they said it's not only the meeting tomorrow, they may put it into play tomorrow. It's going to be a very big day in the world of tokenized stocks tomorrow. What does that do for stockbrokers and index and all the other tokenized stocks projects on Robinhood Chain? I don't know, but it would be big for adoption and new users to Robinhood Chain. Back to my letter. It's also understandable, as I said, for these teams not to ship a bunch of activations in the depths of the bear or land collabs or activations when nothing's popping off. But when on-chain activity heats up, again, it's quantifiable. New primitives are emerging. I would love to see some of these legacy brands get back to experimenting on chain and securing opportunities for their holders, their supporters. All the leading brands, of the utility NFTs, used to do this. That's why many are getting vocal, because newer, smaller, less funded teams are taking more shots on goal. This, again, should not come at the expense of their vision or their true north. It's an and, not an or. And you can't tell me they can't do it, because if small teams, if creators, we're a two-person show for all intents and purposes. Yes, our community does a lot. Shout out King Squallow, who hooked up a allow list for Mansour the other week. But for all intents and purposes, like, people working on behalf of Coffee with Captains, myself, and producer paid. We're able to land allow list. We're able to land opportunities for people that tune into the show, for the DJ network. You can't tell me if we can do that with no biz dev team, no, all I do is show up every morning and host a show. And I ask, that's it. It does take some outreach, even though things are popping off. Now some people reach out and say, hey, can we give you 10 allow lists for your community? Sure, but 90% of it's because you got to ask. It's not hard, but it does take effort and a little bit of focus. I think it's reasonable to ask or expect some of this from the brands themselves, because it's not, they used to do it. Like, get back to the roots. It may be a little harder now than it was in the past, because they don't have the same motion that they did in the mania, like where everyone wanted them in the collection. In fact, what we're seeing now is the unsolicited, the ones that are just getting added, is like the stockbrokers, the Mansers. We saw it yesterday with that Robacha collection. Was not a sponsored project. They just noticed that, hey, this community has a lot of motion right now. We'd like them in our collection, so we're going to allow list them. So the legacy bands might take a little more effort to do that, to get the stuff. It may just not be handed to you. But I've said before, I don't understand why these clubs, if they're a culture NFT, if they're an IP NFT, I don't understand why they don't have, if they're a club, I don't understand why they don't have a director of the community, a director of the club, a club director, a club manager, a GM, or at minimum, a collabs person, an allow list person. I'm near certain any of these brands could hire this person, put them on payroll, and it'd probably be the lowest person on their payroll in terms of any salary or fixed wage. Just let them take one spot for every allow list that they secure. It's not hard. Much smaller organizations have done this. I think Funkari has like 7 collab managers on their team. But they don't have to do that because they have more clout than does Funkari. They can do it with literally one person. Hire one person and task him with this. Watch what happens. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everyone just says, nope, you're the old guard. We're not going to include you. Tough. I doubt it. I just, a little bit of effort, a little bit of goes a long way. I mean, shoot, look at Normies and Good Vibes Club. They didn't even announce anything yet, and their floors pumped 30%-ish. All they did was, say, hey, we're going to do something. Countering, I appreciate the take, Bo, says most allow list whitelist that went to 21 NFTs in the past was organic rather than hunted down by the team. I understand that. New protocols and projects wanted the type of investor or buyer to buy the NFTs or tokens, so they included pudges or apes or others. Also understand that. In fact, many of the airdrops that came to the penguins in the last cycle were a result of penguin holders building protocols, then including penguins on the airdrop and as a nod to the community. Almost none of them came from the team asking. Came from protocols recognized as a high-quality group of collectors and on-chain users wanting to onboard them. Also understand. That's not me saying we shouldn't go out and find new opportunities for holders, but I think what actually happened previously was meaningfully different. It's worth calling out. Let's definitely not make that narrative again. Or let's definitely not make that narrative great again. In my opinion, there's no better group of collectors, beta testers, or airdrop recipients better than Pudgy Penguins. If you want great marketing, include Pudgy holders. I would agree. And I'd also say include ape holders. And while I respect the take and I don't disagree with it, my counter to Bo here would be, you identified it. It used to just come without effort. Now it requires a little bit of effort. Why not make the effort? Because I'm pretty certain if these brands had any representative reach out on behalf of the brand and ask to be included in the next thing, most are going to say yes. If I can do it, where we have, 50 people active in our Discord, I've got 40,000 followers. You can't tell me that a brand with billions of impressions on social media or 1 million followers on this app, you can't tell me that they can't get the same thing that I can get. I don't buy that for a minute. And I'm telling you, it's not hard. It's very, very simple. It just requires a little bit of effort that wasn't required in 21. So Bo's actually kind of driving my point home here is that's exactly what I think would go a long way to drive alignment, to show that these brands, and I know they care, but it's like, I feel that for whatever reason during the bear, and maybe that they did ship some things, they did do some things that didn't land, they felt, hey, it's easier for us to take a passive approach. Let's rebrand as a culture NFT or an IP NFT or a digital collectible, and let's get away from utility. We don't want that utility debt. We don't want collectors to buy our NFT expecting utility in return. And I get it for the period of time, but I'm saying is that's kind of unacceptable now for brands that were positioned as a utility NFT. I guess they can do whatever they want, but I have no interest in that right now. Not when things are popping off. It's not time to collect NFTs just to sit in a wallet and not do anything with. I have fixed amount of dry powder, fixed amount of capital I can play with. I'm not saying I'm going to floor my ape and go buy the next thing on Robinhood Chain. That's not what I'm doing. But I'm not buying another ape or mutant here. Why? What's the point? Like, ask yourselves that question. And I think this is a healthy question for all teams to be asking in this space. If you're an NFT brand, like, why should someone buy my NFT? What's the answer? I don't know the answer for several of these brands. Like, it's a culture. What the hell is a culture NFT? What does that even mean? You may go tell, like, I explained to my private group chat, first time I've talked about like NFTs in years, and one of them immediately came in and I get it. I'm in. This is awesome. I love it. It's also very bullish for my Robinhood stock. But if I said, hey, you should go buy this culture NFT, they're going to look at me like I'm fucking crazy. Excuse my language. I just don't think that's an acceptable answer. Or it's not a good answer. I guess it's acceptable, but it's not going to get anyone to take action. It's not going to get your brand ambassadors to start onboarding other people to your collection. If you want to grow. Dort said it much more elegantly than I. can't even say the word eloquently. Whew. This is perfectly stated. I think critics are conflating our rather benign hopes that legacy NFT brands continue or restart experimenting on chain and leveraging the tech lane that they already inhabit, with wanting them to do stockbrokers and what Simple Farmer are doing. No, we are not asking these legacy projects or anyone else to become stockbrokers. We're asking them to remember that being native to this technology gives them permission to actually experiment with it. And you can see the results when someone isn't afraid to push new primitive with everything they have. Like, there's just so much conflation that, people just want them to chase the new shiny toy and migrate or bridge to Robinhood chain or start rewarding tokenized stocks. I haven't seen a single person say that, other than people who, aren't in those collections or just we're cool just being a culture NFT or IP NFT. We're not going to chase that. I've not seen anyone that's actually providing constructive feedback or what we'd like to see say those things. It's just like, it's people who are the naysayers saying, "Oh, you guys shouldn't chase tokenized stocks or shouldn't start rewarding token." I agree. I haven't seen anyone saying that. I mean, I shouldn't say I haven't seen anyone saying that. Maybe people have, but it's definitely not what's most vocal. I got to take a deep breather here because we got a special guest who should be joining us here any minute, and I want to make sure I take the what's the chart? What's the index? The wing index, the spice index. What's it called? Like how spicy a pepper is. Mayhem. What word am I looking for here? What is the what's the spicy index? I did drop the F-bomb for the first time in a while, so you can tell I'm passionate about that. Scoville, thank you. Yes. Dort and Von Frunten doing Mayhem's job for him. I need to bring down the Scoville index a tad before I have a guest. I should have. I also left my coffee. So let's do this. While we're waiting for special guests to join, I am going to give instead of doing full-on coffee break, I'm going to give our friends today celebrating their birthday a little bit more love on the sponsor board. And I'm going to play some tunes, everyone's favorite Pokemon original. And I'm going to run and grab my coffee. And I will be right back. Don't go anywhere, but we do have guests joining us. Truly excited to share both what Concordium's building. I know some of you heard that before, but new stuff, talking about new topics today. And then long overdue to have Genuine Undead out here on the show. Really looking forward to celebrating their 4th birthday and talking about all that they have going on here in just a few minutes. But to get things warmed up, if you haven't already, give us some love on the space, hit that like, repost, bookmark, drop some comments in the chat down below. Let me know what you think. Am I being too harsh on the former utility NFT brands? Or is it fair to at least ask, hey, what the heck are we doing? Are we truly just a digital collectible? Because if so, I mean, at least with my ape, I said it was a 10-year journey. So I got to keep at least one in that ecosystem so I can finish my time in the market. But it's going to change how I'm collecting in this space if that's what some of these brands are now saying they want to be. Again, to each their own. They can be what they want, but that's certainly not what I certainly didn't mint apes because it was a digital collectible. And I don't know I collected some digital collectibles, but that's because they positioned themselves as. It was art. It was just an on-chain digital art. It was just an on-chain collectible. Sorry for the rant. I'll let you enjoy Pokemon, and I'll be right back in like 30 seconds. Welcome back to coffee. I got one more rant while we wait. Not even a full rant, but the really, again, keeping the Scoville scale in my mind, debating on how I'm trying to bring the temperature down a bit before our guests join us, and I'm not sure they're running a little late. So let me just check in real quick. Also, I know someone in the chat just asked about that. Speaking of that other collection, the Spirit Hoods, the Cole's one that minted out. Yes, it was known that the supply was 44,000. Although in the earliest teas, it was like a screenshot that it was going to be the most common was going to be free. That ended up not being the case. Like the lowest entry was $17, and then you could pay, I think it was 117 for the ones that were more expensive. So the supply was known. It's a very large collection. It's also not the collection. I think that a lot of people are misconstrued there, that it's Wisp or whatever they're called. It's going to be some sort of burn mechanic to get to the ultimate, to get your actual character. You're going to merge or burn the different wisps to create your character. So again, I'm not going to go back and relitigate the whole thing. I do have a couple of Spirit Hoods in my wallet. Short-term flip for me. They were gifted to me. They just appeared in my wallet. I didn't ask for them, so I'm not being paid to say any of this. I just want to be fully transparent that I do have a couple in there. And my wallet is public, by the way. If anyone wants to gift me NFTs, you can. I'm probably just not going to interact with it though, because the scam NFTs are back in full force. Actually, quick PSA. This is good. This is a good segue, good pivot. Is the scam NFTs are absolutely back. Please be safe interacting with those. It's been a while, and I don't know, maybe this is solved now and it's not an issue, but one of the old school tricks was when things heat up, people will airdrop NFTs twofold. Like there's two things that happen here. One, they airdrop NFTs to people like myself because my wallet is public. So like, oh, I minted this. No, I didn't mint it. It was just sent to my wallet to make it look like I'm supporting the collection. More than me would be someone like TMA with Funkari, who is a whale. He moves, he makes big sweeps in collections. And so if people see TMA, oh, TMA has this, it must be a legit collection. That's maybe calling it a scam is too hard, but that is because some might generally just be doing it as a gift, but it's a marketing tactic at best. A scam at worst, marketing tactic at best. So just be very aware. Don't just assume because someone has a NFT in their wallet that they are they actually bought them, or they're actually supporting or investing in the community. For instance, in the last 24 hours, I've had S&P 500 brokers. I've had cash cap brokers. I've had the Saudis on Robinhood chain, an old collection that I thought was a rug that pumped to like the ETH collection, that is pumped to 0.3 or something. I've had unrevealed Spirit Hood wisps, 2 of them, which were scam collections that look just very similar to the actual Spirit Hood wisps. I've had brokermancers. I've had Wojak brokers. I've had Chain Alpha Pepe, Doge brokers, on-chain skeletons. This is just a few that were airdropped to me. So, but broker punks, it's original. Robin Hoodles. Like I will give these teams credit for getting creative, at least with their derivative names. Pixelated Utes. I am curious when the modern day driller is going to migrate DGods to Robinhood chain, but that's a story for another show. My like, in all seriousness though, I'll stop joking for a minute so you realize this is serious. If you get it in, because it's not just getting the NFT airdropped. Often you'll see these NFT airdrops and there'll be like a WETH offer for 1 ETH. It's not a real offer. And I don't know how to explain it technically. And maybe it's been fixed, but it used to be like, if you were to interact, if you were to accept that offer, it was some sort of scam that you just be very, 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 very careful. interacting with any NFTs that you had no idea where they came from. It's often a scam, and sometimes it could result in getting you drained. Not to freak people out, but just something to be aware of. Boy, let me do this. I didn't realize we have some more things popping off. Some maybe for good cause, others maybe just purely hype. So also be cautious when you are the NFT. I just pulled up the actual collection. I'll share it here in a sec. It is like it's silly. It is like plus 500%, plus 1400%, plus 200%, plus 1000%, plus 200%, plus 1500%. Again, most of these are really low caps, but haven't seen this for a bit. Let me put it back up here. This is our daily market update. So the Saudis I mentioned, an old something that was I thought it was a rug. Apparently they're back. Maybe it wasn't a rug. I don't know, but it's up 500% on the day. 0.189 ETH, 36 ETH in volume. Hood Rat's up 95%. Only Traits, a new collection, up 1400% to 0.022. FUA, I did get in this one. Shout out to King Squallow. Not only is he hooking people up with allow lists like Manser, Squallow is locked in right now. Squallow in the war room is dialed in. He's actually the one who turned us on to Manser. Hooked it was Mayhem up with a Manser allow list, and frankly got Michael on the show to get us another allow list that Diego scored. But yeah, King Squallow is absolutely locked in. We got FUA, the Cheetahs, Friends, Hoodle, Spirit Hood Wisp. They pulled back, now down 34% to 0.019. Several of these, I'm not going to go through the whole list, but yeah, the activity, it's not just the gains on small caps. You look at volume, Cash Cats did almost 200 ETH yesterday. They're up 26% to 0.24. Punks did 134 ETH. Stonkbrokers did 130 ETH. Robinhood Machines did 114 ETH. That's a new one. Maybe we're double tapping on because it's new and actually did serious volume. Chainmancers had a big dip and they're already back up to 0.85. Stonkbrokers also had their first big correction yesterday, and the dip is getting eaten up pretty quickly. So yeah, more on this. I wasn't going to say it because I didn't know for sure, but I do think that Saudis is probably a coordinated pump and dump more than just a rug. Yeah, I think you're right there. So just be careful with any of this stuff that's pumping. All that said, without further ado, I want to bring our friends from Concordium on. We've got Theo joining us here today, and we're going to have to go rapid fire a little bit because we do have another guest coming up at 9. But I see Theo. Good morning, Tim. Welcome to Coffee.
Good morning.
Appreciate you joining us.
Lovely to join you. Lovely to join.
I know we're getting started a little bit late, so I want to. I know we have a few talking points and things we'll definitely get through, but I just want to kind of hand it off to you to kick things off to start. By the way, do you want to introduce yourself, what you're doing with Concordium,
Sure.
and any background you'd like to share, and then we'll jump into some Q&A.
Yeah, lovely to join you today here, Chris. Just a quick introduction to myself. I'm heading the commercial strategy department here at Concordium for the foundation. What that means is that, day by day, as with every layer 1 protocol, we are in contact with various projects that are developing, deploying, and connecting with the protocol, trying to push forward new standards or developing all kinds of things. And of course, they run also through us or are in contact with us. So that is more or less what I'm here for, trying to help everybody to find the right resources, connect people. And that spans from small startups up to bigger enterprises that are trying to, find a suitable integration path.
And would it be like both Web3 and Web2 that you're working with?
I think so, right? It's blockchain initially was very segregated, but we see especially with our stack and a couple of specific things that I hope we're gonna get into in a second, that more and more also institutional or enterprise projects that are more from the Web2 world that are joining in, that are trying to benefit from the technology. It is just solving some of the challenges that otherwise are quite hard to overcome, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. And like you said, some of these topics we want to get into, and apologies everyone listening for if we're moving along quickly here. I just want to get through as much as this we can here in the next 15 minutes or so. AI agents clearly becoming economic actors, discovering services. They're making decisions. They're increasingly paying for things autonomously. X402 gives these agents a native way to pay across the open web, but as agentic payments move into real world and regulated commerce, big question kind of comes up, like who's behind these payments. And so I think maybe let's talk. We've talked in the past about this identity layer and some of the solutions that Concordium's providing. But let's talk about AI agents starting to pay, X402s and this new payment rail, and Concordium's view. For those that may not be familiar, do you mind kind of a high level explaining what even is X402?
Yeah, okay. Let me run through that in a second. So X402, it's just a payment standard that leverages the HTTP protocol so that smaller payment can be executed by machines, aka agents, when they are making a request either to access a resource or access an API endpoint. So and to be fair, the 402 reference was already ingrained in the HTTP protocol for quite a while. It's just that recently we rediscovered this new use, right? X402 was then defined as a payment rail or a payment mechanism where let's say an agent or a machine can rock up to an endpoint and say, hey, I would like to access this resource. This could be computation, data, or all kinds of other things. And gets a return from that merchant or from that endpoint saying, hey, yeah, sure, you can get that, but you need to pay first, right? There is a small payment, a small charge that needs to be handed over. Now, it's super fast, and I think we have seen already in the last, I think it's more than 100 million in X402 transaction just on base throughout Q1 in 2026. So, I mean, numbers on these payment rates are ramping up quite drastically, super fast, super efficient. And the main advantage is that machines don't really are built, or agents are not really built to use the same mechanisms that maybe we use, right? Mm-hmm. We hand over a credit card, we have these forms that we have to fill out, and that's obviously cumbersome and also too slow for agents. And most importantly, sometimes it's just very small requests, right? Micropayments where just our card infrastructure, payment infrastructure is not built for. And with X402, we saw that all these big payment providers are also jumping in, right? They're all joining the foundation as well, and the initiative. So we clearly see that this is something to stay, right? It's not competing with the payment networks, but working with it.
Do you see, I mean, do you see a future where will these agents ever be able to transact with traditional payment rails, or is on-chain, is crypto, stable coins, and X4? Is this the only way agents will be able to transact?
No, I think there's gonna be different ways, right? We see that by the majority of integrations at the moment take stablecoins as the clearly identifiable, let's say, preference. But I think that all different providers for payment rails will come up with their own solution, and it's equal to today in traditional finance that there is not just one payment method, right? There's different card providers, there's different mechanisms in which you can make a transaction, and I think the same thing will also go now when we go into this agent economy. At the end of the day, it's just another abstraction that executes, actions for us as owners, and we will see how this will play out going forward.
Yeah, the numbers are just wild. Like 100 million transactions already is crazy. I actually saw, I can't remember who it was, but I saw someone recently, they were fudding stablecoins and on-chain adoption because they were saying, oh, the majority of these stablecoin transactions are bot driven. I'm like, of course, like how else are these bots going to transact right now? Like that's foolish that we've got, like, it's not just humans using stablecoins. It's already went past. It's like, I can't believe, it's like, tell me you don't understand this without telling me you don't understand this.
Yeah, but I mean, there is a fair point to it, right? A couple of years ago, we were highlighting chains or protocols or smart contracts where we flagged, this is all just bot traffic, right? Yep. And then coin prices just plummeted when somebody posted a report. Nowadays, this is exactly what what we are looking for, right? I think it's just changing with intelligence generally and what the adoption is. Back then, it was just an algorithm just executing trades automatically between two people. So obviously, that was not really a reward use case. But nowadays, things are changing quite at rapid speed. So
you know, at
it's
first
quite
I've had this
exciting.
conscious thought, but you just struck a chord there where a bot is not a bot. Like, not all bots are created equal. And I think a lot of people hear bots like, oh, it's just some like spam Twitter bot that's just going to like, yeah, that's a bot, but that's not a smart AI agent. That's not an intelligent bot that can be actually out there doing productive things on the internet. And yeah, I think everyone, you know, a lot of people probably hear bot and like, oh, bot, not realizing it's actually, you know, a productive actor in this new world economy.
Yeah, that's right.
Few questions for you here, and sorry if I go rapid fire. I want to get.
No, go ahead.
I want our audience to be able to hear everything you all are building and working on and your viewpoints. What happens when agentic payments like this move into regulated commerce?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, right? Because if it's just about accessing, some data from a trading platform, just an Oracle or something like this, it might not be necessary for you to have a check or something additional to the X402 payment, right? X402 is fast, it's perfectly adapted for those kind of use cases. But as you said, exactly when we get into age-gated or geographically gated services, or it's, for example, an authority that wants to verify just for compliance or accountability purposes who actually is the entity that is requesting my information, right? So that they can prove that they didn't provide information to, for example, restricted or counterparties that they legally would not be allowed to share information with. And for those mechanisms is actually what we at Concordium have been building for through the last couple of months. It's quite interesting that you can. Sorry.
Go ahead. No.
Okay. What on Concordium is quite unique to other chains is that when you create an account, you can also create a digital identity, right? You just take your driver license or your passport or your LEI number for a company, and also digital, government issued ID. Goes in a couple of seconds, and you have the digital ID, and then you can connect an agent or you can claim an agent and register it. And what that allows you is that when your agent rocks up somewhere, you can say, hey, I have a human or an entity that is accountable for me. Now, the counterparty can say, okay, this is enough for me, or they can also say, okay, but I want to make sure that you're indeed of the owner or the counterparty that I imagine I presume I'm interacting with. But generally, just knowing or having the assurance that there is an accountable person behind it already enables and lowers a lot of boundaries in the agentic economy. And
so Theo, how can identity, how do you go, like, can you explain like how identity can be added to these X402 payments without compromising privacy?
Yeah, the smart thing the noble thing that has been developed by the scientists around Concordium over the last couple of years is that the identity actually just lives within the wallet, right? It lives within the wallet of the user, and is not necessarily shared or publicly available online, right? You get this digital identity that was verified by a trusted third party, which is an identity provider. We call them identity providers, but at the end of the day, they're compliance providers, normally for banks or other regulated financial players. Now, with that digital identity in your wallet that nobody actually sees, not even Concordium as a network, you have these various attributes assigned to you, right? This is something like my name, my nationality, my age, things like that. But for companies, of course, they're more complex. And they're not signed on chain. There's just an anchor that ties them to their validity, right? Saying, okay, this is the exact attribute that belongs to Theo. Now, you can also assign or delegate those attributes and give them to your agent. So your agent can go out there and can also validate, look, I'm an agent I'm, for instance, Italian, of an Italian person. So I'm allowed to, for example, pay or operate in a specific jurisdiction. Or I'm older than 18, right? I can order a beer with the pizza for my owner, right? And there's a lot of use cases where at the moment we don't think about it yet, as we are quite still in let's say on adoption level for everyday use cases, we are still quite early, but we will pretty much see in the next couple of months people getting more secure in using agents in doing, you know, day-to-day shopping or connecting things with their calendar, where then operations go out there and say, could you just order that for me? Can you order that train ticket? And there's boundaries that agents at the moment unavoidably hit, right? Because it goes outside of the environment of the agent itself. And exactly there is where all this agent identification and agent validation comes in, because we need trust, right? We need trust to operate.
A little bit of a detour here, and we'll get back to your all's view and maybe talk about agentic payments to agentic commerce. Do you, and if you can't speak to this yet, or if it's, you know, not ready, if it's, you know, no comment is an acceptable answer, but I'm curious, do you envision this going beyond your solutions, go beyond, you know, the traditional KYC stuff, you know, where I live, I'm over 18 or I'm over 21, you know, kind of like the yes, no that it can check on the other end to make sure I'm able to access this, or I'm able to participate and ultimately track back to me if anything goes wrong. Do you envision it also being like including like credentials, whether it be job credentials or university credentials? Like, do you envision that as part of the solution, or not so much?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
So W3C as a standard is already integrated and available as a standard also in Concordium, with SIS4 as a smart contract standard for a couple of years now. And of course, especially in Europe, the push for, you know, this eIDAS 2.0 digital identity is definitely something that we're aware of, and that we are working with projects within exactly that realm. I think that giving these kind of attestations or credentials also to agents will allow them to, you know, execute or go further in my name or in my organization's name, right? Imagine agents that are negotiating deals between companies for steel or for whatever resource materials, right? They need to have attestations or credentials that allow them to not just claim, hey, I'm the agent of this and this company, but I'm the sales agent or the negotiating agent, and I have the credential that allows me to negotiate above a threshold of a certain quantity, right? And all these kind of things, they will fall in place. And we will see more and more of this just developing naturally, because it's just it's needed between us humans as well. So why should it not be needed between agents? The only thing is that between humans, we take so many things out of the, you know, non-written communication, but that's just not what happens between agents. They need some reference point that they can read and verify in order to interact with confidence.
Makes sense. Another kind of, I guess, detoured question, but your answers are inspiring more questions, which is a good thing. I know Concordium is very active in like truly pushing the space forward, and it's not just tech, but also working, yes, global solutions, but working with, you know, maybe regulatory bodies and different governments out there. And, you know, being in Europe, is this something that is like, I would imagine, I'm based in the US, I don't know, but I would imagine like what you all are building, this solution is probably like not only accepted, is it maybe they're not excited about it's the wrong word, but as far as like GDPR goes in Europe, and whether it be, you know, the government entities or the businesses themselves, like I'm not the expert there, but I can see what you've built could be a great solution for both enterprises and on both sides, right? Am I thinking the right way or no? You guys think about GDPR?
You are, but I would say, as you know, as in everything, right? Compliance or regulatory compliance is a very strong word, and it often comes down to a specific use case, right? For example, just to give an example, for verifying access, this is one of the mechanisms that we support. We have also some partners like Veriox or others that are actually integrating this to merchants. There is some regulation that we comply with, and you can use these zero knowledge proofs that I mentioned previously for identity in order to prove your age and access age restricted content online, right? Adult materials. It's very restricted in certain countries, in the Australia, but also UK, in Europe. And it's natural that people don't really necessarily feel that comfortable in sharing their personal information or their ID with adult websites by default. But if you can just zero knowledge proof your age, right? You have your digital identity, zero knowledge proof that you're above 18. That makes the whole experience a lot more smoother and a lot more comforting for users. So that's just one example where regulatory compliance is, for example, in place. For other ones, right, it's depending on the use case. But no, it's an interesting field.
I would think it's kind of like a good CYA, for lack of a better term, for some of these businesses that do require age gating, because
yeah,
like a lot of them today, it's like, are you 21? Yes or no?
Yeah.
An 18-year-old has to do is click yes, and they're getting through. Like there's like, it's like, trust me, bro. Yeah, it's like it's kind of funny. Like I know they do it because they're required to do it by law, depending on what industry they're in. But there's like, for most, there's no KYC, there's no age verification. It's just be honest with this. If you're not 21, click no and leave the site. It's like
no, and it's either that
or clicked yes.
And it's either that or make a picture of your passport and scan your face, right?
Yeah.
It's like there is no threshold in between. So, and imagine now an agent that has to access something like this. Okay, it's maybe not for adult content, but a lot of other things by default are age gated too, right? So there is really an agent is going to have a hard time to do that, or an agent is going to be having a hard time to register an account for you, right, in order to get an API key. We see a lot of people now vibe coding and building agents and just interacting with everything just through the CLI. But how are we going to set up an account at platform X through a CLI? It's very difficult. So we're working with partners on various ways how you can actually allow an agent to have enough credentials that he can reach that, right? And they can create an account at a merchant for you. Because if we allow agents to get there and we give them the guardrails that protect our, let's say our assets, and say, hey, you can do this, but you cannot do that. You can spend up to 100 euros on, groceries this week, but not more necessarily, or dollars. If we can enforce that, but allow the agents to just create an account for you for Amazon, but then the next day you see there's an offer somewhere else, or an arbitrage agent or a shopping advisory agent tells him, hey, I know you're always ordering this every week, but there's just an offer at Target this week. Why don't you go there and order it there cheaper? You need to make another account. Your agent by default cannot do it. But if you give them an identity, you give them these kind of mechanisms, they can all of a sudden operate and go out there and do these things for you.
Mm-hmm. And I know for some, they may sound like that's like future. That's like, we're there. Like, it's there now. Maybe it's not like widespread and all consumers are having agents buy their groceries for them, but it's happening. Like we're rapidly heading that way. And like just the example you used, like, oh, it's going to do my grocery list for me. And on my list was, a case of beer or a bottle of wine. It's going to get stuck. It's going to break and either not be able to do the order at all, or it's not going to get that item. Whereas where this solution comes in, like it complete that order, because it could invalidate that. Oh, I am 21. I'm like 29. So, few other questions. I will give you a chance for any, any final words, closing comments, or anything we don't get to kind of to bring us home. But we talked a lot about, moving from just agentic payments to agentic commerce. What still needs to be built for agentic commerce to scale, for like this vision, everything we talked, like what's still lacking in the tech stack? What still needs to be built for this thing to go mainstream?
I think it's like with a lot of other things, we need to test our grounds, right? Things are developing so fast. We're getting to a point where things are technically possible. We have the payment rails, we have the intelligence, but sometimes it just needs a couple of people to burn their fingers to realize, okay, we need to do it differently. And we're just still there in this phase where there is so much possible, but we don't really figured out how to do it with confidence all the time. So I think one thing that is necessary for us is to define rails that make it safe, right? Just guardrails where we say, hey, you are my agent, you can go out there and you can interact with people, you can pay for things, but this and these are things that you just are not allowed to do, or this is a spending limit you cannot surpass, and build mechanisms that are bulletproof, where no prompt injection or anything else can enable it. And the second thing, I think, is just frameworks that are being developed and improved. I mean, I'm using them myself for agent deployment, right? That I cannot, it's so easy to set up a Claude or an OpenAI account, but it's maybe not that intuitive to set up an agent that just runs for you. And an agent, what it is, it's still using the same LLM at the end of the day. It's just a construct around it with skills and with runtime and, like a clear target where it works towards on repetition that makes it an agent. But it's just markdown files, right? At the end of the day, and connectors. So people are gonna get over that and understand that there is no magic sauce behind it in building them, and there's gonna be frameworks that allow them to do this quite much easier from their phone or from the comfort that also less technical people are gonna be able to do it. And at that moment, these components like the identity or the agent, the tools that allow the agent to pay or to operate with confidence are going to be enabling a lot of adoption.
Yep, makes sense. I mean, more proof, more case studies, more proof of concept, more people use it, more people doing things that break. Yeah. And like, to me, in my brain, this is happening. The train's left the station. Yeah. We're going to get there. X402s can solve a pretty important problem, how agents pay, which is key. But
absolutely,
it's not going to scale on just payments alone. It really, agents really do need these rails to move value for businesses to have that trust to know who's behind the transaction and whether certain required conditions have been met or not. Like that's pretty important. So X402 is answering, how agents pay, Concordium answering who's behind the payment. And
absolutely,
what you built might be enough to get us there. Now it's more volume, more case studies, proof of concept. I guess for anyone listening in, like, this is exciting. I'm building something that I could utilize this. Should they reach out? The Concordium account, by the way, is on the Audio Spaces stage. The account, the X account is just Concordium, just like it sounds, all one word, CONCORDIUM. Should they DM that account? Is there a form to fill out on the website? Like, if someone wants to work with you all, if they want to implement some of these solutions, is it self-serve? Can they just go on the website and do it themselves? What do they need to know?
I mean, it's an open source platform, so they can definitely start building if they're more comfortable in doing that, or they like to play around with it. We have a test net where they can just create or deploy smart contracts, or build things if they want to just test and see. Documentation is always accessible as well. Otherwise, Discord, Telegram, or contact us directly via the website and the email addresses. Otherwise, contact me directly over LinkedIn. You can do that as well, or via Twitter. I mean, Twitter is linked here. I'm joining the the discussion here from there today as well. So feel free to contact us. Get in touch if you have questions anytime. We're looking forward to it.
Awesome, Theo. Really enjoyed the conversation. Big fan of Concordium.
Pleasure was mine.
This is a sponsored interview. We're partners with Concordium by way of our friends over at Reach. That said, I think we're going to one-up this or re-up this and extend the campaign, because I truly believe in the solutions you're building. I think it's quite frankly, I think it's being slept on by a lot of the space, where it's a real solution. I think many people would agree, for agentic commerce to really scale, this is absolutely needed. Like, it's you got to know who's behind it. It's otherwise we're just never going to get there. And because it is maybe a little more technical, because it's not something that's going to overnight have some big hype pump and go, hockey stick up and 10,000% growth, like some of those NFT collections we were just talking about overnight.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't get probably proper attention from at least the crypto Twitter space at large, and happy to help amplify it and share what you are doing. And I've enjoyed working with you all. And I mean, every time I chat with you or Boris or anyone on the team, I get excited, and it's like, man, this is we talk about pushing the space forward. This is at the intersection of crypto and AI. And I don't know, I know I'm biased, but I don't know, there's probably not too many more exciting intersections in the world today than, at the bleeding edge of crypto and AI and this world of agentic commerce. And really appreciate you joining us today. Thank you so much for your time. Any final thoughts, any closing questions, anything I didn't ask you today that you were really hoping to share with the audience?
No, I think we discussed a lot of things, and as we said, right, if people are interested in finding out more, follow us, reach out to us, and we're happy to get in touch, sit down, chat, and have another conversation. So thank you so much, and as you said, hopefully until soon, and to continue the conversation.
Pleasure's mine. Thanks, Theo. Appreciate you joining us. And yeah, we will appreciate Concordium pushing the space forward and helping us realize this agentic future we're all excited about. But we'll have the team back on here in the future. If you have questions, if you want to get in touch with them, if you want to learn more, go give. I mean, you should get that Concordium account a follow anyways, because they're doing a lot of cool stuff. We've only touched on just a bit of it here today, but reach out and go check them out. I think especially for you builders out there, pretty important piece of infra. And that said, we're going to pivot from one guest right into another jam-packed show today. Theo, thanks so much again for joining us today. Greatly appreciate you. We'll talk again soon. We're going to go from Theo to Mason and keep the conversation rolling. Mason, GM, or I guess maybe more appropriately, happy birthday! Happy birthday to yourself, the Genuine Undead. 4 years today, right? Pretty exciting milestone. I went on a little rant earlier. Cold open talking about 21, 22 collections, and while I've not been deep in the community or deep in the ecosystem by any means, it's one that I can't remember last time I hosted a show where I didn't see not one, not two, but multiple Genuine Undead PFPs out in the audience, and love to see those 21, 22 brands that continue to build. They didn't leave, they didn't go dark when the bear market hit. And 4 years is nothing to fly over. 4 years is an exciting milestone, whether you're talking an NFT collection, an NFT brand, whether you're talking a traditional startup. 4 years is a major milestone. So big congrats. I do want to chat about maybe like the past, the present, and the future with Genuine Undead, if you don't mind, and frankly anything you want to cover today or you'd like everyone to hear. But do you mind just brief introduction? I know first time we've had you on, certainly the first time we've had you on stream. I think you've popped up on the stage from time to time. But do you mind just brief introduction of yourself and maybe how you found Genuine Undead? Anything you want to share, whether it's prior to your crypto Web3 journey or anything you're comfortable sharing about yourself? Just do you mind sharing a little bit of background? And we'll jump into all things Genuine Undead.
Absolutely. Well, first, thanks for having me. I just wanted to kind of give you a quick shout out just because I feel like the last 4 months of this show has been so educational. So like, I know we're feeling kind of the blockchain really starting to heat up again. And I feel like it all starts with this show. Like, I feel like all of us get our cup of coffee in the morning, we log on to this show, we listen to whatever is happening. And I just want to give you some flowers because you have really kind of been, I think, a steward for me personally, and I feel like I probably speak for a lot of the people in the audience and just say that this show has been kind of like the beaming light, obviously throughout the bear, throughout every time, but over the last 4 months specifically, the different conversations and the different guests that you've had on here have been honestly the highlight of my day, and it's been why I've been still so engaged in this space. So I just wanted to give you a quick shout out there. Man, I know it's not necessary, but
yeah, I wasn't expecting that. You're too kind. You're gonna get me emotional here. We're not here to celebrate me.
Yeah, no, I get it. But I just want to say,
it truly means the world. I joke that, we've not yet had a perfect show yet. Maybe 1,226 will be it. And I'll make mistakes. I'm not the best show. I'll upset some people from time to time. I'll have some bad takes from time to time. But I would put our consistency up against anyone, not just in this space, in anyone that hosts any shows. I don't think many could tout 1,225 consecutive shows in a row without missing a day. And I'm happy to do that because of like literally what you just said. Not that I was going to take tomorrow off, but it's that sort of stuff. Even if, and I'm not soliciting kudos or flowers or anything from the audience. It really does mean the world to me. And like what you just shared there, like that 30 seconds, that's enough inspiration, motivation for me to keep showing up every day for at least the next 6 months. And then 6 months from now, someone else needs to come up and stroke my ego a little bit and make me feel good about that my time here is having an impact. But in all seriousness, jokes aside, like that's the impact I want to have here. Will I share some constructive feedback to some of these Web3 brands from time to time and hopefully have an impact there? Yeah, sure. But that's not why I'm here every day. Why I'm here every day is, hey, first I want to learn. I love this space and I want to learn. And I also want to amplify others that are helping push the space forward and doing good. And if one person can take what you just shared and whether it's a connection or a new opportunity, or you get an investment and it ends up hitting, or it's simply like, I don't know,
learn about arepas. You know what I mean? Come on.
important stuff.
You know.
But truly, I really,
no.
really appreciate it. It means the world. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate it, and we'll jump in here. But I felt like I needed to give you, specifically over the last couple months, it's just been like, I feel like with everything going on, and there has been so much going on, there really isn't like a source of truth, if you will, a place where you can come and trust. And so you've just been that for me, and I'm sure a lot of people feel that. So anyway, to answer your question, kind of how I got into all of this and Genuine Undead, for anyone who isn't aware, Genuine Undead was a free mint that happened in 2022. It was an anonymous artist, and it basically sat like for free for like a month and a half. No one minted it. No one knew about it. The guy was an anonymous artist. He had no marketing skills and really had no business launching a collection. And August 13th, you know, bots found it. It got botted out. It shows up on Nifty Tools or Nifty Gateway, whatever we were, you know, tracking NFTs back in the day. And a bunch of us jumped in, a bunch of us bought it. And that was kind of the beginning. But everything that you know about Genuine Undead has been built or created by a community of some sort. So
that's awesome.
This is kind of before like the word CTO or community takeover, but this entire collection, this entire community has been basically run on a kind of a decentralized plane since the beginning. And that's kind of how the artist set it up. The only real communication that he had with the community were these 3 like screenshots. They were green papers, and they had some philosophical kind of, you know, guidance on what he thought this collection represented. And at the time, I think in 2022, a lot of us were kind of getting off of the like super hyped and kind of feeling like, hey, maybe some of these founders aren't as genuine as they might say they are, and they might not be here for the long term. And I feel like there was a time and a place where some of us were feeling like, man, we've put so much energy into this. We're online every day. We're marketing these projects, but like we get nothing in return. And then all of a sudden, Genuine Undead showed up, and it kind of, the way that he kind of spoke to the community in these papers, it kind of spawned this era of saying, you know what, like I don't need a founder to tell me what's going to happen for me to get excited. Like I can pick up a shovel and I can start building something that gets me excited. And that's kind of what you have in terms of this collection. Now, in terms of the art, I'll just talk about that for real quick. It is a 24 by 24 pixel grid. So what you're looking at is the exact same grid as a CryptoPunk. It's the same 576 pixels. But if you compare a CryptoPunk to a Genuine Undead, it's significantly different. You know, you've got a lot of dynamic shading in the colors and all of this stuff. And so I think for us, a lot of the art curious people, that really gravitated to us because it had this super complex design system that, you know, was very obviously thought about. It was very intentional. And there's a lot of mystery within the traits. There's a lot of mystery in even the trait names. Like we don't know. We don't have real access or connection to the artist. That's actually been like one of the fun things. Like a lot of us over the 4 years have figured out, like thought we have found the artist. And like I've gotten on literal streams with strangers in other countries being like, I know you're him. Like you can't lie for me. I've tracked the blockchain and it's not them. You know what I mean? It's just been like kind of a fun little mystery. But at the same time, the most impressive part is you're looking at a community that has been around for 4 years, has never had funding. They didn't get any of the mint funds or anything because it was a free mint. We had royalties. We had like a percentage of royalties for a few months, and then Blur came out and that got, you know, decimated. And so this community has been able to build and experiment and, you know, persevere kind of with no real funding and no real central leadership. And I heard you mention earlier, you mentioned Hans. Hans is like such a great representation of this because Hans was not in Genuine Undead early. He came in probably midway through, probably 2 years into the circus of what you will. And Hans is a perfect example of someone that said, oh, I see this. I understand the IP. I know what I want to do within this community. I know how I can bring value, and this is how I'm going to do it. And no one's going to stop me. And you've been affected by that. You know, so many other communities have Hans in their community and have been brought into Genuine Undead because of that. And Hans is one person that operates on that level. And there's a lot of us like that. There's, you know, some of the top meme coin traders you would never know, but they're like Genuine Undead OGs that are still coming in and, you know, showing love in the Discord. We've got myself, who is, you know, I obviously am on the team of Good Vibes Club and doing things like that. And so Genuine Undead has been this hub. It's been a home for a lot of the people in this space that just needed somewhere safe, needed somewhere where we could talk about art, talk about NFTs, talk about AI, talk about anything that's going on, and then kind of be able to support one another. And I know a lot of us have found homes in other projects, right? Like there's been plenty of projects. The interesting part about GU is, you know, GU didn't have leadership, never had a plan, never had a promise, yet we've done 15,000 ETH in volume over the last 4 years.
Incredible.
And so I think that is, again, a statement on the power of community, the power of people, the power of belief, and just the strength of saying, you know what, we're going to continue to be here for the right reasons. A lot of the OGs have been coming back in the Discord over the last couple of weeks and just saying hi. Obviously, our floor price has kind of had like a nice little boost. And so people start to pay attention. We've also kind of migrated our contract a few times. Now we're on, I think, the cleanest contract where we have royalties enforced. We have our volume on OpenSea. So it's a very clean kind of looking thing. But even the OGs that have been coming back, who used to have, you know, hundreds of these things, are coming back and say, you know, for me, it was never about the money. It was always about this community. It was always about this vibe that we were all equal and all of us had the ability to do things. And it's funny because it's like, you know, we have all this like NFT merch and stuff around, but like I have a brick. You see this? I don't know if you can see it. You see, there's a brick here. It says Genuine Undead. That got sent to me from a brick maker in New Zealand because he's like, you know, he makes bricks. He's like, I'm going to make you a brick. I've got this, which is like I have a jeweler in the community. Let's see if it'll focus here. Let's see.
Camera's dialed in on your beard and hair. I've got hair in
Yeah, I know, right?
I feel like I'm hosting with
really
Steve again.
Not loving me. Anyway, there you go. So you got the Genuine Undead ring, you know, it's like stainless steel. This was sent to me. And so we've got all these just like super passionate people, from jewelers to brick makers to marketers to people. Right now, we have a community member who has been traveling to Japan because over the last 2 years, he's gotten so good at AI video generation that he's actually gotten funding to generate a feature-length Genuine Undead AI film. And so like all of these kind of things are happening, and there's all these people building with the IP. And so again, I don't want to long-wind rant and all of this. I haven't told this story in a long time, so bear with me. But I think, again, what I want to double down on is, for me, I've always been drawn to very strong communities. I think that's what I really like. I really enjoy people, meeting people, talking to people, finding out what makes them passionate. And I said this the other day, but you know, in our like lexicon, we've gotten to this point where like the word conspiracy is like a taboo word. Like we hate the word conspiracy. It's like, oh, it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. But if you look up conspiracy in the dictionary, conspiracy is a group of people who conspire to help each other succeed. And to me, like, that sounds pretty cool. Like, I want to be part of a group of people that are helping each other succeed. And quite honestly, like, we talk about Coffee with Captain community. We talk about the Web3 community. We talk about NFTs as a community. I personally think a lot of that is a conspiracy in itself of us trying to help each other succeed. Now, we do have a lot of PvP, which is the nature of it. But I think for me, when I think about Genuine Undead, it's like a home base, people that have been here since 2021, if not longer, have been through the bear, have been through the ups and downs, have experimented with a bunch of stuff. You know, like, I'll give you an example. This year we saw Chimpers and we saw Corkies come out with, you know, like their chibi art. Like they went to like a small, like a cuter version. We did that 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Because we have this idea of like, okay, this pixel art is great. We love it. But social media is blowing up. Giphy's blowing up. All these things. How are we going to maintain? How are we going to stay in that? We created like basically a mirror collection. It's just like a mirror to your GU. And so now if you go on to OpenSea, you have two versions. You have a pixel version, you have like a cute version. One of the artists within GU was, you know, contracted to do that and was able to make that collection come to life. And so again, you have all these different like versions of people coming in and being able to express themselves through this IP, which I think is really cool. For me,
it is
for
really
the
cool.
last couple of years, I've been building this comic. This is like a real, legit comic based on genuine undead. Believe it or not, the colorist and artists worked on the original Spawn comic. And so like comics is like a deep passion that I have. It's been one of the hardest things I've ever done. I don't talk about it a lot just because it's been more down than it's been up, but it's still something that I'm super passionate about. And it would never have come across without like genuine undead inspiring, saying like, oh, we want this, or hey, we want to see someone do this. So for me, it's been a breeding ground of creativity. It's been a breeding ground of just bringing people together. And yeah, I think that is what Web3 is all about, is community, experimentation, and having a group of people that you can rely on to educate. I think, again, the reason why I log into this space and this stream daily is to learn. And for me, that's what I was able to find in GU. You know what I mean? Like back in the day when I think about when GU first started, like our first spaces were literally 40 people in a space and we would read audiobooks. Like I'm not even kidding. It was like so weird. We would go through like a chapter, read a book, and then talk about it. You know what I mean? It was like very different. And so to me, I just think about how that has come full circle now, and where everyone is and how everyone is involved in, different opportunities all over. And it all started with this Discord that was started by a bunch of passionate community members. And so to me, I think 4 years is something to be really proud of.
Heck yeah, you should be proud. It's impressive, it's inspiring, and I gotta think. I know there's others, but it's got to be one of, if not the most successful CTO NFT PFP project. No, I can't even try to think of what, like maybe MFers is in the conversation.
Yeah, I was gonna say MFers, and I got to give MFers a lot of credit, because like GU wouldn't be GU without MFers, because in the early days, like a lot of our holders were like some of those original MFers, and they, believe it or not, MFers played such a big role on the culture and how giving it the ability to kind of just be. I would say in the early days of GU, there was a lot of like rigid thinking, especially around the artists and what was okay, especially like when meme coins first came out and all this. It was like we had horse blinders, like we can't look, you know what I mean? We can't innovate. We have to be, we're an art PFP. We have to do this. And I think MFers, as well as people like Hans and people that have like come into the community along the way, have really opened the perspective of what is possible and what should be like the priority of a community. And I think we've had to learn that over time. Like you learn the ups and downs. You learn that community is fluid. It's not something that is solid, and it's not something that will always stay the same. It's going to consistently change. But through that, you also learn that you have to be experimenting. You have to be trying new things. You have to be getting out of your comfort zone constantly. And so I think that's something that we really push forward. You know, I mean, I've even said it. You can go back and look in the Discord over the last 4 years and search my name, and I'm like angry at some points, being like, you guys are in this Discord too much. Like, go out in the world and go find something. Go experiment and spread your seed, if you will. You know what I mean? And that has happened in many ways. And so I am very proud of this community.
So I want to tug on a couple strings. One, starting with like the whole even like the concept of a CTO or a community-led initiative, brand, project like this. Is it entirely decentralized and everyone just does what they think is best for the brand, what they want to do? Is there a council? Is there like even going back to like the contract migrations? How does that happen? Is there now in the new one, I'm assuming there's some royalties. So like are the royalties going into like is it a treasury? Is it a community? Like can you kind of?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question. So initially we started out with a 2.5% royalty, which was the split from the artist. It was 5% royalty on the collection, 2.5% went into a wallet. That was like a multi-sig wallet from a few select community members that the artist had and made. That blew up kind of in the face, like everything does. It was like the typical DAO story, you know, everything kind of blows up because there is no way to like,
yes, you're not really, the only one.
Yeah, 100%. And we learned that lesson just along with everyone else. There was definitely a formation of a council at one point. There was a formation of, you know, roles and different things. And we started to realize that like, as a CTO, you can't just start assigning people things because it's like, you can't expect people to work for free. You can't expect people to do things. So you kind of have to go backwards. You kind of have to start saying like, okay, well, if I'm willing to do this, maybe this person will be inspired. And so it started to just be individual effort, which would inspire more effort and more effort. Eventually, we realized that there was going to be some level of centralization needed, because especially if we're promoting people to go and build with the IP, how do you protect that, right? Like, how do you say, yes, we want you to go build with this IP, but, oh, hey, we don't own it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really work. And so we did create a holding company, which is the Genuine Undead's Holding Incorporated. That specific company, basically its entire existence is to hold the trademark, which we have had, I think, for over a year and a half now. We hold that trademark, and then we also have a treasury there. So that is where the royalties are going from the contract. And then we have a select group of people that does change based off of like availability, based off of, hey, right now I'm super busy, can't really be involved. And things like, you know, being advertised on Coffee with Captain, like this is kind of a thing that comes up. It's voted on by the community. People say absolutely, and then we go for it. So it's kind of like, I'd say, a centralized, decentralized situation right now. There's centralization, but at the same time, if you want access or if you want to be involved in any way, no one is going to say no.
Is this replicatable? If someone, whether it's a legacy brand that's kind of fallen off and people like, I was funny, I saw Sup Ducks pumping this morning. I know a while back they were talking about a takeover there, and it didn't go through. Do you think if there's a legacy brand been in 21, 22, 23, whatever, and still has somewhat of a community, still has a pulse, but the founders are they've sailed off in the sunset? Or, I guess two-part question. One, is this replicatable by legacy brands that have kind of, you know, not dead, but kind of on life support? Or could you also, knowing what you know now, could someone, if they're launching a new collection today, replicate this community-led model?
Is it replicatable? I don't know. My gut says no. And the reason why my gut says no is because of how this has happened. And like, I'm doing such a poor job of giving you all the like major milestones that have happened over the last 4 years. There's been so many ups and downs and so many, like, I gave you the example of like the 2D collection, like the chibi kind of version collection. When we first initially pitched that, I thought the community was going to die. Like, it lit on fire. People were so mad. People got literally, I thought that was it. Like, I thought Genuine Undead would go under after that because people were so angry. And now it's become something that like people love, and people were asking them to be part of the same thing. And so I don't know. I think that Genuine Undead is unique in terms of like the level of derangement that happened in the early days, and some of that derangement like sticking around and being part of it. Like, I'll be the first one to admit, like, I was so diehard Genuine Undead, and I still am. I still love, I've never really sold the Genuine Undead. I've always held the ones that I have. My collection is, you know, I don't want to say it, but I think I have one of the best collections out there. And it's just one of these things that I think you had to be there kind of thing. And I think the fact that we still have all these hardcore people that, believe it or not, for the last 3 or 4 years probably went more into hibernation. Like, a lot of them left, a lot of them made millions on Pepe, a lot of them like are out. But now that they're coming back and you see them still holding, you see them like still wanting to kind of bring that energy back, that I feel like is kind of that glue that is keeping everyone here. And I don't know if that's replicable, because like, I don't know if we're going to have the 22 days again. You know what I mean?
I tend to agree with the caveat. I would say probably the only way it's replicatable is with even in a completely decentralized community-led brand, you still need leaders like yourself, like Hans. Right. You need, at the end of the day, if it's just 10,000 individuals or 5,000 individuals, there's just too much going on in this space. It moves too fast. It's people, they'll get bored. There'll be a new shiny toy, and it would be very hard to continue momentum. But when you have leaders that step up and they're doing things right, and it's funny. It's kind of, I don't know if ironic's the right word, that I opened the show today with my rant on, the quote unquote utility NFT collections from 21. I think that's like, there's also a benefit for things like MFers, Genuine Undead, where those aren't the expectations. There's if there's expectation for utility, it's expectations created by the community themselves, created by the holders, not the brand or the artist saying something or promising something or setting an expectation because it's things they've done in the past. And so it's almost like, versus an expectation, it's almost like a bonus. Like if you mentioned Pepe, if there's some alpha call, if there's some allow list opportunity to the, or someone, some perks for it's bonus on top of what you were there for. And back to your point of the community and the people, like, I think it's, by the way, I do have the version.
Just to give you a little, I want to give you a little history on this because I haven't really spent too much time on the traits and stuff. So the collection is actually split. It's unofficially split, but it's split into two different types. You have classic, which are kind of like old school traits and things that a trench coat, a beanie, watch cap, different types of things that you would see from a classic fashion standpoint. Then you have cyber, and cyberpunk is kind of like your futuristic clothes and your futuristic things. And believe it or not, there's like a whole philosophy behind why this collection is split like this, why the numbers are split like this. Like the guy was kind of like, definitely on the spectrum a little bit of all of this stuff. But like the classics represent the past, whereas the cyberpunks represent the future. And his whole philosophy was that he couldn't represent the present because it was constantly changing. And so, like, again, I think that represents us as Genuine Undead. Like, we are constantly changing. We're constantly, going. But I think also you kind of mentioned, the provenance of this, or just being kind of an MFer or Genuine Undead. For us, we look at punks. Like, I think punks are kind of like our North Star of like, that is a community through and through. In 2017, none of them thought that they were going to have, $80,000 assets sitting in their wallet, and I think for GU, it's similar. They just want to be part of something that is bigger than themselves. And they really like it. Like, the people that are still there really genuinely like it. They're not there because they're like, I'm going to bag work.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they're collecting it because they like it. And that is the catalyst that 10 years down the road, if you get enough people to like it, things start to happen. Right.
Yes.
And so I think for us, that's like a very big North Star for Genuine Undead. And I think that's also what makes people that have a lot of them feel really good about it.
I also think that's what makes a digital collectible more so than, like, when that's what it is. I think it's much, let me say it a different way. I think it's when that's the true north, I think it's much more likely that collectible actually appreciates over the next decade and is still a much more desirable collectible 10 years from now than one that is a utility NFT. But because it's also an NFT, it's also on-chain collectible, it's also digital art, but that's not the true north. And I think it's, yes, at the core, all these NFT collections, they're all NFTs. It's all technology that you can build on top of, and you could have thousands of community members. But so there is the common thread of the tech, but it's obviously very different. You have just pure art, and then you have collectibles that have a community with it, and there's more to that, right? But the expectations are more level set because people aren't hoping for a meme coin or some sort of activation, a Genuine Undead fest. Like, maybe it happens, but it's like, oh, cool. Hey, this is community initiative. We're going to get together and, have some fun, versus an expectation of, or let down if it doesn't meet their expectations.
A big part of that too is the story, right? It's like the narrative that people come into. Like, I'll give you one example. Like, I'm sure you're aware of MetaWin, right? The company MetaWin.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So Skell, the owner of MetaWin, believe it or not, was one of the first like big Genuine Undead holders. And he had a few 101s early on. And one of the 101s, there was 8 legendaries originally. And one of the 101s was named War. All of them are named like different. You've got faith, love, power, war, life, I hold strength, I'm probably missing.
I saw
one
Chaos
other
this
one.
morning. Looked like
Chaos. Yeah, that's the Joker one. So anyway, back in 2022, this is like right at the start, or maybe it was 23 when it happened. I don't remember the exact date, but it was like right when Ukraine was starting to pick up and we were getting into conflict with Ukraine. And Scale owned War at the time. And Scale decided, and at the time, the legendary, like this is when Genuine Undead was like close to an ETH. So like we're up there in floor price. The legendaries were selling for 10 plus. And Scale decides to burn War. Just send it to the burn address, because and he made this like whole, post about how like, I grew up in Ukraine. I hate war. Like war shouldn't be part of this collection, da 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 da. And like just wrote this whole thing, and it became this whole, giant thing. And believe it or not, in doing that, there was like a trade that went down where like he burned War, but he also bought Love, which was another legendary. And so it was like Love burned War, right? And like that was like one of the biggest catalysts that came up. Nobody remembers that or has that story, but like the OGs know that. Like, and that's like part of our, sleeve a little bit. Like, oh, I was there for that.
That's
there's
cool.
War right there.
I gotta check there. Yeah, so go check. Go, because it is a fun collection to explore the traits. I actually don't know if I knew. If I did know, I forgot how the collection was split into two, classic, cyberpunk, and then the 8 legendaries, as you mentioned. That said, I'm my assumption. This was going to be with the swamp and the sailor hat. I'm guessing this would be a classic.
That's a classic. Yep. Yeah. There's no way to really like. There's no category that says cyber or whatever. You just kind of have to know the clothes, and that's kind of the cool thing. Is like, do me a favor, since you're on the collection, real quick. Go to token 1303.
Clear that.
Okay, so this is mine. This is like one of the ones that I bought first, right? So this, if you look at the type, right? Type is a Lu. I don't know who Lu is. A lot of us have made a lot of, maybe Lu is Lucifer because he's red. I don't know, right? But like all these things have names. You see that the headwear, it's T. The headwear was T. Is that Mr. T? I don't know. It could be. And so like all of these things are named in ways that like it could be, but it might not be. Harry is like a haircut. Is Harry Dirty Harry? It could be, but we don't know. You saw the one that looks like Bruce Lee. Is that Bruce Lee? I don't know. It's called Strength. It could be, but I don't know. And so like that's kind of the nice thing, is there's a lot of pop culture that is woven within this, but it's not on the level that you see from most NFT collections where it's like Pepe trade, fucking bubblegum trade. It's like very woven in there. You kind of have to know your film. You've got to know your history. You got to know, your Stanley Kubrick movies to kind of like understand some of the nuance of some of these traits. And I think that's why it, like, for me, like a cinephile, that's why it really grabbed my attention.
It's also, I mean, for the collectors out there, it's a telltale sign when you got a CTO collection. It's a digital collectible. People collecting are collecting to collect. When you see one, this just sold 6 days ago for 1.5 ETH. So what's that, like almost like a little over 7x the floor? It's yes, the flaming horns are rare, but it's that's you're talking. This wasn't not Raging Bull where these things are popping off for 10 ETH. But when you have something these rare traits selling for 7x over floor for no reason other than collectors collecting what they want to collect, I think it says a lot about the strength of the community and what they're there for, as well as a digital collectible being desirable for years to come.
No, absolutely.
I do see Hans joined us on stage. Hans, anytime you want to get in here, throw up a hand. We're happy to have you join the conversation. We've been singing your praises all show. One of the great ones out there, not just because he tips me Pingu like every day over in the abstract streets. Truly, one of the great ones in the space. He also did gift me those two Genuine Undead I was flexing there earlier. The not just the one with the sailor hat, but also this looks it's called an off-world suit, so it's not a space suit per se, but if there was a Genuine Undead that was like it could pass for an honorary for my ape. I'll just say that it's got the space suit or the off-world suit. It's got the cyber psycho headwear and night vision that look like the hollow lenses or the hollow shades on my ape. but yeah, just a fun collection, especially if you're a trade enjoyer, if you enjoy things that pay homage to other collections in the space, whether by traits or even down to like the, being inspired by the CryptoPunks and the 24 by 24 layout or pixels. A lot of really well done art that a lot of collections don't. I'm not saying that they're all low effort, but a lot of collections aren't. It's like you said, it's just very kind of, oh, it's a hoodie. Oh, cool, it's another hoodie. The extra detail, and I think part of the fun is not knowing exactly what the traits mean or what the artist's intentions were. Is the artist still is the artist in the Discord? Is the artist still around at all? Or
we haven't heard from the artist since probably January of 2023.
Wow. Just incredibly impressive that not only has the community stuck together, but I would say it's thriving. And you think about 23 to today, that's like thriving and sticking together through the depths of the bear. That in itself, I think, says a lot about this community and the individuals involved. To be truly, like, I don't want to say leaderless, because I certainly consider you a leader, Mason. I consider Hans a leader, but I'll say headless. There's no one figurehead that's driving this stuff. And I know it's not a DAO, but having seen the challenges of a DAO, and while I got all excited about this decentralized, like whether it's a decentralized autonomous organization or community takeovers, the reality is for every community takeover that we see stick and have the success of a genuine undead, of an MFers, we see not 10, probably more like 100 CTOs that are dead within a month, right? It's really tough. And it absolutely, while it's community driven, it does take leaders like yourself, like Hans, to be the glue and kind of keep things together through the ups and downs. Speaking of the legend, Hans, GM, appreciate you, sir. Thanks so much for coming up on stage and joining us today. Happy genuine undead birthday to you. And feel free to get in here and take it whichever direction you'd like.
Hello, Cap. Good morning. Thank
GM.
you for doing this. Thank you for bringing this great show every day. And, I highly appreciate what you do. And please keep doing that, because it's a bright point in my day. And really
Truly,
good.
my pleasure.
I stepped up because you were talking about if this could be replicated. And the first statement was no, and that made me step up. And then there came some nuance, and you did the most things that I wanted to say were already said. But mainly you need a group of holders that have very little expectations. There is no roadmap. They should just be happy with what it is. And that is special about you. And then you need a bunch of leaders that do not want to be a founder, that do not have the ambition to become the founder.
That's a great. I want to just double down on that, or double tap that, because if a leader is, and I don't want to say ego, because it's not that, but if someone has that, if they want to be, it takes it's I guess an unselfish leader. Is that a way to put it? Like they want to be a leader, they want to help and drive things, but they don't have the desire to be all about them, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, servant leader. Great way to put it. Sorry, Hans, back to you.
No, that's all right. And we have some of those, and Geo is very fortunate to have some, and it's like not one, not two, but it's like 4 or 5, at least, in some way. And they all do their thing, and they all have their opinion, but they don't care if someone disagrees and does something else, because that's their good right. So you also need a community that is willing to do things. If you want something to happen, then make it happen. And that's what caught me. And the other thing that caught me on this collection is I'm an entrepreneur. I'm old. I'm 59. I've seen the world. I've done it all. I don't want to be the owner of a community or a collection. I'm done with that shit. But I do have my opinions. And what I found back in the end of 22, I think was, no, 23, sorry. At the end
23, I was going to say.
By the end of 23 was a community that had created something that I have not seen before in this space. and that is the company structure that Mason just lightly stepped over, but that is freaking brilliant, because that is a C corp, which all the shares are owned by a foundation, and as you know, a foundation doesn't have an owner. So basically, this whole collection in the IP is not owned by anyone. It's controlled by the community, because we are the board in all these places, but we don't own this. It's owned by a foundation, and that, I thought that was brilliant, and I still think that is brilliant, because that makes it possible to be a legal entity in America that can sign shit and that can have contracts, and it's still not owned by anyone. And that, I think that triggered me into, this is something special I need to investigate. As an entrepreneur, I always have the tendency to buy a piece of what I'm getting into. And I looked at the shares and I thought, yeah, I cannot buy the shares because those are not owned by anyone. So indirectly, all the holders are the owners. So I need 10% of the collection to be what I always am, 10% of the shares. And then people ask me, why do you have so much? Well, this is the reason. And yeah, it went from there, and people do things all the time, and it's insane. And if you spend community money, and more than just a few bucks, you need to run it through the community, and you need to vote on it. But if you don't spend community money, you can basically do whatever you want. That's funny, and that makes that we can move pretty fast, despite the fact that we are a decentralized organization. And I'm very, very proud of what's happening here. I mean, GU is not a wealthy community, and there are people that hold dozens of these things that are, I mean, it's almost $500. That's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't sell, despite the fact that they could need the value that was in their collection. Yeah, they could use that, but they don't sell. They keep it, and they are all convinced, including me, that somewhere in the future this will be respected as art and as digital art, and that this will be even more collectible than it is now.
Man, it is super impressive, and you should be proud. All of you should be proud. Mason, Hans, the community at large. I've got on, for those watching it on the video, or for the, I guess more appropriate for those listening to the audio only spaces or catch the podcast later, go check out genuinemarket.io. Like, this is, I mean, it's their merch site. The top 100% of the proceeds go back to the Genuine Undead community, and it probably, there's vendors on here, the Genuine Charms, the Watchers, Lane, the Nihon Warrior, Game Paperboy, but like this is a more robust merch site than a lot of centralized communities have. Like to have, not just to stick together, but to do so much, to have so much out there for the community when it's community led, it really is impressive. And you know, for every, you know, giving DAOs a hard time and talking about the DAO's failure, like I can appreciate how challenging it can be to coordinate stuff, and to do it at the level you all have. It's kind of mind blowing. I need to get a Genuine Undead mug for, that's what I'll do. That'll be my contribution on the 4th birthday and appreciation of the board takeover. I'm going to go get a Genuine Undead mug today, and I'll be rocking it here on the show. But can I ask some questions on this? I know this wasn't maybe part planned, but so is this, my assumption is all community products, or maybe you connect with a vendor who's maybe not necessarily in the community, but someone in the community is leading or driving that. Like, how does that, like if a community member wanted to make a Genuine Undead hoodie and get it on the site, as long as it's not using community funds, are they able to do that? Or how does, like, what does that process look like for someone to, I guess, help contribute something that it ultimately is going to go back to the community? I don't know if that question makes sense.
We have two people that have, like, again, this goes back to the conversation we had earlier about, like, you can't assign people roles in this type of environment. You can't say, hey, you're the merch guy now, you know, you're going to do merch. That's what we need. You have to really kind of find the people that, like, are passionate about certain things. And so the merch thing kind of came out of people saying, like, hey, I really think we should do GU merch. I would love to kind of, like, take a stab at it. And they did. And then they had the support of the community. They had the support of the people around them saying, like, okay, push it further. How about we do this? Or how about we do this? And then other people are saying, hey, I would love to design merch too. Can I help? Yes, you can. This is how you can help. And so I think right now, if you have an idea, you just need to kind of contact the two people right now that are kind of handling that. And it's as simple as kind of just having those conversations. And that's exactly how that site has been built. You know, it started with one collection, and then eventually people were like, hey, well, what about this? Or, hey, what about if we did a capsule of this or that? And that's how that site has grown.
Yeah, really, really impressive. You mentioned about, hey, you're covering the history, and you said you mentioned some few key milestones. Like, again, while you're on genuineundead.com, check out that timeline. Like, there is not just blowing smoke. There's so many things have been done, so many activations, the contract migrations, the, getting the trademark, like, I love them efforts. I'm not taking any shots. And they've done a lot in their own right, but it's, I don't have a third. Like, as I think of true CTO, NFT, PFP brands, you guys are a shining example of how to do it. And so yeah, thank you all, both the two of you and the community at large, for pushing this idea forward, that it doesn't have to be a centralized organization that drives things. And in some cases, without having that centralized organization, which sometimes can be a bottleneck, you actually can show that you can not only get stuff done, you can be a little more efficient at times. You can ship things even faster at times. Certainly will there be challenges and road bumps along the way, for sure. But yeah, I'm proud of y'all. Y'all should be proud for all that you've done. And I guess, so we talked a lot about the past, present. And this may be a challenging question because of the nature of community-led project like this, but what does the future hold? Do you have like a wish list, some things that you would like to see? Is there things being discussed? Is there, I don't want to say like roadmap items per se, but for those that are hearing about Genuine Undead for the first time today, maybe, and the art's resonated with them. And I say this knowing you don't want to set expectations that are, people are coming in, they're buying it, like, buy it because you like the art, you like what we talked about today. You want to join a community with community leaders like Mason and Hans. But is there maybe not expectations, but ideations? Is there things that have been discussed or that they might have to look forward to over the course of the next 6 months, let's say? We'll go.
Well, I think
Mason.
Go ahead, Hans.
Well, yes and no. We don't have a roadmap. So whatever is in the future is in the future, and we don't know. We don't promise things. We just do. But there are still certain directions that that the community wants. And one of the things is that we want to be a museum. We want our art to be displayed in a museum. I don't know how, I don't know why, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm quite sure that at some point someone is going to arrange that, because that is what our art deserves. If you print this thing out, you hang it on the wall, it's a beautiful piece of art. And for that, the community has created a bit of technical graphical stuff, but we have created a layered vector-based files for all RGU. So the file you can download and that's engraved on the blockchain is a file that you can blow up to any size and it still remains sharp, and you can build billboards with that stuff.
Yeah, we should take a second just to call that out real quick, because I don't think there's many collections that have ever done anything like that.
No, it's insane. It's an insane amount of work, and it's all hidden behind. Yeah.
And am I understanding right that was done after the fact, or did the artist do that from the jump? That's something that
after the fact.
Yeah.
After the fact. Yeah, the community did that.
To a vector-based thing.
Yeah, basically an SVG is what you open up in like Illustrator. It's a vector-based file. So basically every pixel can be moved, every vector file, everything can be moved. And so that allows you to basically blow it up. If you wanted to put that thing on Times Square, you could blow it up and not lose any fidelity. And again, that now comes with every GU that is on the blockchain.
It's engraved. That's what we engraved.
Very cool.
On the chain.
Which, back in the day in 2022 would have cost you $100,000.
Excuse me?
Oh, he was just saying back in the day, like 2022, it would have been 6 figures to get that, to do that on chain. In fact, I think 6 figures might be on the low end. I remember Cyberbrokers, maybe different, but Cyberbrokers said something. I'm near certain it was a 7-figure endeavor for them to put their art on chain. But yeah, it's a big deal. It's especially when you're talking a collectible, a digital collectible, like knowing it's going to be there forever is important. I'm not going to single any other collections out, but I saw someone recently, some of those 21 collections, they're breaking. There was 4 in a collection that you can't retrieve the original art from IPFS. You can still see it. It's still indexed on OpenSea because it's in their cache, but you can't, if you go to the actual NFT, the actual token, and click through the linked IPFS, it's gone.
Yep.
So what you again, to each their own. Not every collection has to do this. And if there's a centralized organization that's going to be around and they can keep the lights on, so to speak, it's fine. But when you're talking the collectibles, this is an important thing that for a while people were talking about on chain and how important it was. I don't hear many people talk about it anymore, and it is a real differentiator for those that, if you really want to be a true collectible.
Yeah, especially
Definitely.
if you don't own the contract and you don't own the IPFS contract.
Mhm.
So that was one of the reasons why we wanted to migrate from the original contract, because we didn't know what the contract was that was made with these parties, and that is not free. Hosting that stuff costs money. So there are many things behind the scenes that are done based on engraving. I can do a lecture on that. But that was not my point. My point was we wanted to go to a museum. And another thing is that we are looking at ways where we can generate some form of benefits for holders. I mean, an NFT is nice, but if you want to cash out on whatever it's worth, you need to sell it. And that is a thing that I hate about NFTs. You see the new tech coming up where, I mean, stockbroker is the fact that you hold is rewarded. We are going to do something in that direction. I just don't know what. But something needs to happen there so that your holders get some benefit of holding. It's the toughest thing to do, but I think we can come up with something. I don't know what yet. But it's in that area. Those are the spaces that you can see that I see GU develop in the now, hopefully near future.
Mason, anything? We did have a question, by the way. I want to get back to Diablito asked how many comic books are there, and so I want to give you some time to talk about what you're working on and what might be coming from that. And then same question I asked Hans after you answered the comic book question is, what are you looking forward to? And maybe slightly different question. What are you looking forward to over the next 6 to 12 months with Genuine Undead?
I'm going to flip the two. I'm going to answer the second one first, and then I'll do
Perfect.
Whatever. In terms of long term, I think you guys were talking about before I came on, and earlier in this space, you guys were talking about just collections and adapting and being able to kind of have the ability to allow your community to partake in the fun that's going on, even if you're not in the main spotlight, but at least participating in what is happening on chain. And I think that has been one of the ways that we've survived, as well as being able to adapt in terms of what's going on chain and how do we do that. Other side came out. Let's put an avatar in our other side. Let's make sure we have exposure there. Let's make sure we have, exposure here for Ape Chain when Ape Chain is starting to do things and different things in that nature. And so I do think that to Hans's point earlier, that we have always kind of trying to figure out ways to kind of keep that experience and keep that value within the community. And I think the ability for us to experiment and move quickly is kind of second to none because of how we're set up. Now, granted, sometimes it takes longer to, send something out of a multi-sig because you're not necessarily in an office with people together. But at the same time, I think it allows us to kind of like plan and adapt really aggressively. And to me, everything that's going on chain over the last couple of months gets me really excited for what GU can do. And then in terms of comics and things like that, there's a website called genuineundeadcomics.com right now. Something that I've been building for a little while. It is like a both digital and physical comic experience. Goal is to mint comics on chain, as well as have a parallel kind of Kickstarter going out and really make like a push into the indie comic world. I've spoken to, Gary Vee a little bit about this. I've spoken to the team over at Oniforce, because all of these guys, I think, have a much different perspective in terms of when we say comics and getting into that world, because it's very not Web3 native. And so for the last year and a half, I've been really trying to figure out my go-to-market strategy with this, in terms of, at first it was very Web3 leaning, and it was just a mint, and it was just trying to provide a narrative and a story and an experience for the Web3 crowd. And over the last year and a half, that has developed and blossomed into a whole new understanding of how I should be viewing this and how I should be going about this. And so I've started and stopped my go-to-market several times on this. But I'm very proud of the product, and I'm excited about it, because I think it's going to, in my opinion, transcend my original expectation of just kind of being like a Web3 IP thing. And I think if done right and given the love and the attention it needs, then it could really, make a stake out in, Comic-Cons and indie comic worlds and whatnot, because the story is really good. The characters are really good. And it's dynamic. We have, the first season is 13 issues. Issue 1 and 2 are done. Issue 3 is kind of what we're fundraising for now. And it follows 4 characters over 4 different timelines, and they figure out that they're connected somehow. And it's not a masturbatory GU story. It's not like, hey, we're genuine undead, we're gonna have super power Avenger fights. It's much more of a character-driven story that people, I think, will fall in love with. And at the end, it ties back into this bigger IP and bigger narrative that a lot of us have fallen in love with, which is completely based off of traits and mysteries found within the collection.
I love it. I'm going to, speaking of that comic collection, I will, Genuine Undead Comics. You can see this, and I'm about to show on screen here now. But for those listening in later, just head over to genuineundeadcomics.com to learn a little more about that. Pretty sweet site. Did you do this yourself? Vibe code?
I did, yeah. This is again, that's one of the things that we haven't talked about either. A lot of the stuff that you've seen from Genuine Undead, myself included, but really so many people within the community as well, have built awesome sites and awesome experiences. It's only just started because AI, like, I feel like our community is still very early in terms of our AI competency, and it's only getting more and more. And so, yeah, this is something that I've built. It's taken me a long time, but yeah.
Well done. Hey, because I mean, it's the UI, like, it flows. It's not busy, but it feels modern. Feels like a modern website without looking like it's the same exact vibe coded site. Like, I'm not singling anyone out. I'm not going to call any names, but I saw a post yesterday that was basically 4 different brands doing similar, and their websites looked identical, and you could tell it's like, oh, they didn't even like attempt to make it look different. It's just like whatever Claude spit out, that's what we're gonna go with. And Claude spit out like the exact same website for 4 different brands. It's like, come on, like, you can use AI. Like, I'm pro AI, but put a little bit of your own special sauce into it. You give it something more than just asking it to create a website for you. Good looking site. And so you mentioned, go ahead.
I feel like we've taken up so much time. I just feel bad, but I appreciate you for having us on. So
no, don't feel bad at all. Diabolito agrees. Comic site is cool. And if you've got a heart out, though, by all means, feel free. Good. Otherwise, we'll get everyone out of here soon. Appreciate everyone hanging out today. And go give, like, again, there's never any obligation to buy. You don't have to go out and buy a Genuine Undead coffee mug like I am. You don't have to go out and buy a Genuine Undead. But we talk about supporting the builders in this space, supporting the people pushing it forward. And even if the pixel art's not your thing, or CTO-led, community-led NFT brands aren't your thing, like like Mason, I would hope you would agree that Mason and Hans are the types of people we want in this space. Simple Farmer said yesterday, like, he wants this crypto industry to be something to where his 1-year-old, when he grows up, is proud to get in this space. Like, these are the sort of stories. These are the sort of leaders and things that I certainly want to support. I certainly want to amplify. Yes, they did take over the board today. So I did the promotion promo or disclaimer on my post, because there's someone that's been upset with me about and checking me to make sure I'm disclosing everything, and I do. But the reality is, like, I would, Hans, Mason, like I really appreciate all the support they've given, not just the kind words today, but they're here every day. They show up, they support me. And I, especially learning more about the Geo story, like it is stuff I want to amplify. These are the sort of things we want to support in this space. And so the likes, the reposts, it goes a long way, and it's free. If you're into comics, follow along. You mentioned like a Kickstarter ask. Are you doing an actual Kickstarter or?
Yeah, there'll be an actual Kickstarter. There's a lot more information. I'm in the thick of summer right now, so it's a terrible time for me. So you'll hear a lot more like first week of September. There'll be a lot more information about that.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm really excited.
That's awesome, man.
See what
Excited
happens
for you. Well, definitely do me a favor and remind me. I mean, the algo is much better, as we were talking about this morning, but don't be shy. It goes for yourself, goes for Hans, anyone else in the GU community. Feel free to ping me anytime. If I don't respond to the DM, drop a comment on this show if you're here, because I know it may sound weird, but I see the comments, almost every comment in the show. I unfortunately don't see every DM. It's a me problem. It's not a you problem. Actually, it's a group chat problem, but I'm not going to go off on that rant today. It hit me yesterday after I turned on notifications for the first time in years on X, and I woke up to 4,000 notifications. Like, oh, this is why I hate group chats, because they, of those 4,000 DMs, 3,999 of them were people nonsensical stuff in group chats. Anyways, in that rant. But in all seriousness, please let me know when your Kickstarter goes live. Any of these other community initiatives within GU, I'm happy. At minimum, whether we have you back on and talk about it, at the minimum I can do is pin it up top and help amplify a little bit of what you're building, because this is the sort of stuff that it really, like, truly is. This is the sort of stuff that didn't get me into Web3, but it's what kept me here. It's this sort of stuff that maybe jump down the rabbit hole and fall in love with the space is the people of Web3, yes, but also just this shared entrepreneurial vision. I said 2 weeks after Apes Minute out, I sent out a post. I feel like I just joined a unicorn startup with like 2,500 of my best friends who I haven't even met yet. And I still feel that to this day about so many different things in the space. I feel like, we've been talking a lot about, the Robinhood chain, the stockbrokers. Like, I feel like that's an organization where you got a lot of similar like-minded people. I feel like, clearly Genuine Undead is very, not even just entrepreneurial minded, but good, unselfish servant leader type individuals that, yes, they're entrepreneur minded, they're builders, they're shippers, but I'm sure there might be some, but it really, like, my read on the community is like, there's no egos. Like, people are just here. It's not about Mason, it's about Genuine Undead. It's not about Hans, it's about Genuine Undead. And that's unique. That's something special that, sure, I guess you can find that stuff outside of crypto, but Can
I give you an example? One last example, and I feel like this sums it up. But this year, another legendary, believe it or not, Love, same one that was in the previous one, transferred hands again. It was given by its owner actually to the community. So Love transferred to the community wallet, and it was like this symbol of like, this should be in the community. Awesome. Incredible. It was great. Then we had the patron of Web3 come in, who is Adam Weitzman, who I'm sure you know, come in and buy Love from the community wallet, which is a huge deal, because all of that money then again flows back to the community in and of itself. And again, to your point of it being selfless, the person who owned it didn't have to do that. Again, it's probably got multiple ETH offer on it. And just by giving that to the community and then having someone like Adam Weitzman come buy it, it just kind of shows the nature of this community in many ways. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah. Really cool, man. I really, truly, not only thank you for taking over the sponsor board, not only happy 4th birthday, but I genuinely enjoyed the conversation today. I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't take the time to learn more about Genuine Undead by some of those dips during the bear. I know I had it shared earlier, but I will show it again. Like, remember, there's no airdrop. There's no tokenized RWAs. There's no stocks. This is on ETH mainnet. This isn't like some sort of quick pump because it's on-chain activities heating up, and it's like the Saudi collection. That's, like, I shouldn't use that as an example. I really don't know. Maybe there's some. Maybe it's not a pump and dump. Maybe it's not a scam pump. I don't know. But I do know that this is not that. To be up 138% in the last month. few hundred sales, 64 ETH in volume. Like that's not nothing. And for this to be taking place 4 years down the road after this collection minute out, I don't think there's too many stories like this in crypto. And the stories it's something that does deserve more recognition. It deserves to be talked about more. And I know in a time where people are looking for the next 100x or the new shiny toy, it's even more challenging to get attention. But I know it's just words, but like you guys are doing the thing. Like you truly are leaders, not just within Genuine Undead, but throughout the space at large. And I mean it when we say we do need more, not just leaders like Mason and Hans, more stories like this. I think can inspire many. And I'm also not saying run out today and try to CTO another NFT project that was minted in 21 or 22 and it was left for dead, because it is challenging. I agree with the takes. Like it could be replicated, but it requires not just a few special individuals, but really a community of individuals like this. And that's that doesn't just come together overnight. That's not something you could just buy or have some KOL campaign, or in fact, that's probably the other direction. You're probably not going to get it with a KOL campaign. It really does take time and consistency and trust and so many things here. It's just, I love seeing good people win. I love to see good stories like this getting, and I also know that while I'm talking about the floor price being up 138%. Notice that it was me that said that. And Mason, while he may be, it might make him feel a little better. It might make Hans feel a little better. That's not why. I'm pretty certain that that's not why they're doing what they're doing. Like you're doing your comic book, whether the floor is up 138% in last month or it's down 100% last month. I'm guessing. Is that a fair
100%? Yeah, 100%. I don't. Again, I think. For us, the last thing I'll leave is like, if you are in Web3, you want something to build with. I know AI has been a big thing. A lot of people are generating images or generating websites. If like you want to try something and you want an IP to build with, Genuine Undead's a perfect place. Like you have full permission.
It was someone asked who owns the art. Mike Campbell asked, is the IP rights? The foundation. So it's the foundation owns the IP. The IP is it CCO or the art is the IP is owned by the foundation.
Hans, are you still up here?
Yep.
Yeah,
Hans is my legal. He's my legal liaison here.
I mean, if you own the NFT, you own the art.
Okay.
Right?
Very cool.
The whole trade set and the name we protect.
Got it.
And that is protected by our C Corp, which is then owned by our foundation.
I love it. Well,
and if you want to use our IP, you can, like Mason did, you can get a license to use it.
That was gonna be my next question. So Mason could make the comic book with Genuine Undead that he owns, and then if he would like to use like the Genuine Undead IP that's owned by the C Corp or the foundation, he has to ask for permission. And does that then go to a community vote, or how does that get decided?
That would probably go to a community vote.
Okay.
And since he uses our name, Genuine Undead Comics, he has a license. So Mason has bought a license to be able to name his comic Genuine Undead Comics.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah,
the art in the comic is his. We don't have anything to say about that. And whatever he's going to do with that, that's his. But he had to acquire a license to name it Genuine Undead Comic.
Love it, gentlemen. It's refreshing. It gets, as someone who got really excited about DAOs early on and then saw the challenge and the pitfalls, and it gives me hope that you can still do things as a community. You can still do things without a founder or a figurehead or a singular leader. It takes a special group of people. And I do feel, we were talking yesterday, that I think like with AI, I do think that DAOs themselves could have another run in terms of a lot of the stuff, a lot of the bottlenecks, some of the administrative stuff, like that can be helped, that can be solved now with AI. It also, like this conversation has got me thinking, like, I know I'm not trying to go out and start Genuine Undead 2 and do a CTO NFT project, but it's got me thinking, like, man, if someone came with a good plan and they had a good curated community, I'd be interested. I'd be interested in following along and seeing, hey, could it's almost like it's also talking about experimenting on chain. Like, yeah, could someone do this from zero today? And I don't know I know it'd be very hard, and it would, again, take the right group of people, but you've really, if anyone thought it couldn't be done, you've proved them wrong. And I think maybe inspired some more to, I don't know, maybe do more for their communities, right? Like, I think while yes, CTO is community led, I think there's also a lot of people that just sit back and wait for the teams to do something. And in some cases, everything's different. So you might need to ask for permission or get a license or get someone to say yes. But there's also a lot of things you can do. You don't have to wait for the brand to do something. You can, especially if you have rights to build with your IP, you can go do the thing. And that used to be so much of what we were seeing in 21, 22 was so many community-led initiatives, so many side brands being built with the IP and stuff. And I feel like that's kind of stalled over the last couple of years. And I think
that's when we were having fun too, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were having fun when we
Absolutely.
were doing that. And so
exactly
we need
right.
more fun. We need more fun.
100%. That was really at the core of my open letter this morning was exactly that. Like, it's fine to just have a long-term vision and stick to your true north, but let's not forget about fun. And it should be an and, not an or. I saw Joey from Chimpers responded to my open letter and said, well, why not both? And I wholeheartily agree. It is an and, not an or. Yeah, I said, yes, exactly. It should be an and, not an or. Thanks for leading the way. You can do both. But yeah, just, I think remembering to have fun and creating fun activations and doing stuff, regardless of the structure. It is, to your point, it's when we're having the most fun. And I don't know, maybe there's correlation. Fun leads to gains and money, maybe not. I know they're not directly correlated, but I think it's, if you look as an outsider, someone coming in and am I going to join this thing? It's like, yeah, if the community is having fun, there's something new, fun, exciting going on, not even every day, but every week, every month, like it's going to be attracted to more people than just sitting back and hoping number go up. We'll go to Hans and we'll let Mason close out. Appreciate you guys hanging out much longer than we had planned for, but really enjoyed the conversation and appreciate all the support. Appreciate all the kind words as well. It really did make my day. Hans, any final thoughts, any closing words, anything that you were hoping we'd talk about today we haven't yet hit on?
No, well, we have a nice party space where we give away about $5,000 in prizes. So I would suggest people visit that. But that's all.
That's a good call out there. I saw the space. I set the reminder earlier. Let me go pin that up top. It's at 4 p.m. Eastern today, right? Yes. 4 p.m. Eastern. It'll be hosted by the Genuine Undead account. That's, if you're listening in later, it's Genuinely Undead here on X. And they will be live at 4 p.m. Eastern today on X, and $5,000 prizes might be. Tune in for the community, but $5,000 also adds a little bit of fun to the conversation as well. Thanks for calling that out. It's pinned up top. Go smash that reminder. Join that at 4 o'clock today. I see Jesus out there too. Been giving Jesus a love. Runs a great space at 11 o'clock. We are live every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern time here on Coffee, including tomorrow. We'll be back to close out the week with a banger. It's been a heck of a week. Appreciate all of you driving the awareness, driving the attention, and helping me believe, reinforcing my priors that we are in fact NFT season 2.0 has arrived. Mason, any final thoughts? Any closing words? Anything on your end that you were hoping to talk about today we didn't yet touch on?
Just super grateful to be on here. I think a lot of the GU community feels heard and seen right now. I think a lot of them have waited for the day to officially been talked about on Coffee with Captain. So I think this is a big day for the big community. And so just shout out to you. Thanks for having us on. And please, come party with us at 4 p.m. It'll be a great space. And if my DMs are always open, if Genuine Undead, GVC, hit me up.
I love it, man. Well, Mason, thank you again for making this happen today. Hans, thank you for making it happen. Thank you for the community for sponsoring the Coffee with Captain board. This is, you can see this yourself and click through the links. If you scroll down, you can see Genuine Undead. You click through it and it'll take you to their main website. But this is just buycapcoffee.com. We'll take you to the board. If you would like to take over the whole board, it's self-serve. You can take over the whole board. If you'd like a day like this where you take over the whole board and we bring you on for a interview, I talking about proper expectations. The intent, most I consider Mason and Hans a friend at this point. this isn't going to be the norm for a board takeover. You might be, depending on what the rest of the schedule looks like, it might be 15 minutes, might be 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. Probably not going to be an hour and a half, but you never know. We will see where the conversation takes us. But if you want to do a whole board takeover, you can feel free to reach out to myself or the Coffee with Captain account, and we can. Because I would like anyone that does the board, I would like at least give them a little extra love and attention on the show. But we can coordinate it to where we make sure we can get you, find a good day for you. But on that note, 4 o'clock today, check out the Genuine Undead 4th birthday celebration. Go check out Genuine Undead Comics and stay tuned. If you're not following Mason, his personal account's in the audience. It's T Mason, MAIS. That's a 0, right?
Correct.
And it's TMAIS0N. And like he said, it's not just Genuine Undead. He also is part of the magic and I don't want to say secret weapon, but part of the magic behind Good Vibes Club. He leads comms and strategy over there. I guess I know this is a Genuine Undead day to celebrate, so I'm not trying to derail you or put you on the hot seat, but we were talking about it earlier, so I'll go back before we close it down. Is there anything you can share about the Good Vibes Club announcement yesterday, or the tease related to Simple Farmer, Stonk Brokers, or Robinhood Chain? I'm not doing my job if I don't at least try to pry a little bit of alpha. So no comment is an acceptable answer, but I had to ask.
All I can say is clock in.
Okay.
Keep your eyes on the timeline. We're very excited. And awesome. I just, again, huge shout out to Simple Farmer. His presence on this space over the last couple months and prior, because he's obviously been a contributor way before Stonk even really came out. But just such a huge shout out to that guy for everything that he's doing, because you heard him say he wants to leave this space a better place, and that's quite honestly what I think he's doing. So can't give you more than that. Clock in and keep your eyes on the timeline. Awesome.
Love to hear it. This is also some of the fun. Is this? It's not speculation about floor. I gotta buy now because floor price is gonna run up. It's just it's fun in the sense that just as we talk about our favorite TV shows, and if you were a Game of Thrones fan and you watched it on a Sunday, and you were in a corporate office the next day on Monday, everyone's around the water cooler speculating what might happen next. That's part of the fun. Is I don't need all the details, but some activity, knowing that there's doing something, there's something happening that helps. That's important. And give the community, give the people a little something to have fun ideating around and speculating around. And it's not always, sometimes it is just the fun and the lore, the story, not always number go up. But Mason, Hans, Genuine Undead community, thank you all very, very much. Happy birthday. You all should be proud for all that you've done in the last 4 years. And I don't think I have a 4 o'clock. I may have a quick errand, but I should at least be able to tune in via mobile on the road if I am out. But I'm planning on tuning in at 4 today. And as I said earlier, just want to reiterate, Hans, Mason, anyone in the community, if you have an activation, whether it's a comic book Kickstarter, please don't hesitate to reach out. I don't take offense to it ever. I can't always get to everything, but I'm offering that up. I'm soliciting. Please share with me when you're doing cool stuff. And at minimum, I'm happy to always pin it up top, promote it, talk about it, amplify it to the best of my ability. And I appreciate you all being such good stewards of a collection. I appreciate all being good stewards of Web3 at large. And this is the sort of stuff that it does deserve more attention, and it's refreshing to see you all doing and having success you're having. So thanks again. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern time, like always. Until then, you can go hang out with Jesus here in a half hour. You can hang out with the birthday celebration for Genuine Undead at 4, and we'll be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time, as always. Until then, have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone.